Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome to the 44th Right eSports Weekend Warriors Week 13 Big Grid V Runoffs. This is going to be a heck of a lot of fun. We got 2.5 hours of racing action in front of all of you this evening, and it's set to begin right about now. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Mike Braun, and in the virtual production hauler, we have Joshua Wilkie. We got 3 races to look forward to here today, and first up, we've got the Formula Vees. These tiny little pencil race cars can put on some of the best racing action that you can find on the iRacing platform. And we're running on a rather odd configuration with some rather odd conditions. We're running on the junior layout of Maunz. This is a rather bizarre track, only 1.5 miles long. And as you can see, this 4-turn road course is soaked with rain right now. Mike, it's the first time you've done a Weekend Warriors broadcast, so welcome aboard and welcome to the Madhouse.
Hey, thanks, Ron. I'm excited to be here. This is going to definitely be a fun day. Like you said, this is a very unused layout on Maunz, but it's going to be a lot of fun with these cars, being that they're so draft heavy on these long straightaways. but they're going to have that one hard braking zone coming into turn one. So we're going to jump on board and see what a lap looks like. And we're going to come along with Ethan, it looks like, maybe. No, let's see who we jump on board with and get around this track.
And this is Ethan Orr, the driver who's usually in the Spec 2 category here in the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors. He was quick all throughout this season in the 222 car, looking to impress in this qualifying session. 10 minutes long with 4 laps for these drivers to try and get the job done. A 25-minute long race will follow the first of 3 races here today. But let's see Ethan Orr heading down into Parabolica, which seems like a vast yawning chasm of a turn compared to the 3 others around it. So Mike, I'll pass it back off to you to give us a small little track guide around this small little track.
Yeah, this is going to be fun as we're coming around the Parabolica turn and down the front straightaway. You've got to carry as much speed around Parabolica as you can, and rolling down the front straightaway right now as we're coming across the start finish line. This is just going to be so draft heavy as these guys are going to be tucked in behind each other going down the front straightaway, and you see all the miles per hour that we're hitting here. And hard under braking under this wet condition is going to cause some just sheer chaos coming into this first turn, as it's kind of like a odd chicane as they kind of go back and forth around there. But then you want to make sure you carry as much speed out of this last section, because this is that long back straightaway that's going to lead you back to Parabolica. But like we said, this is a really unused kind of version of Monza, but it's just basically 2 long straightaways, 1 sweeper, and like a little half a chicane that these guys are going to get through. But as you're coming down that long stretch, and these V's, it takes forever to get down that Parabolica, but into that final Parabolica and down the front straightaway and crossing the line as we get off line a little bit there, but we'll see what we can get across the line next time by. But these guys do look like they have about 15 minutes of qualifying here, and we should be good to go once they're set up.
Yeah, just 10 minutes here for these drivers, but still plenty of time around this track. 4 laps allotted to these drivers in this solo qualifying session, running around this track, which, despite it being rather unused, rather bizarre, and frankly just a rather goofy racetrack when you think of it, it's potentially the oldest layout of Monza that is still unaltered. This track was originally added to this track back in 1959, was the first ever iteration of Monza that featured this junior course, and it's remained unaltered ever since. The only real changes have been made to the pits, but we don't really count those if we're being completely honest. But still, this junior circuit's possibly the only, outside of the oval, which neither confirm nor deny that we will be seeing in the future. It's a racetrack that really does not get a lot of use. I remember driving around this layout of Monza back on Project Cars 2. I can't remember what car I was running around here, but I remember it being a rather bizarre experience. But hey, if there's going to be any cars to run on the shortened layout of Monza, it's going to be these lower-powered Formula V's. Absolutely love them. Josh and I can attest to the fact that they put on some great racing action every single Saturday here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. But to say that they're cars that are quicker than the speed of sound would be a bold-faced, out-and-out lie.
There's definitely no speed in these things going down those long straightaways, but having the draft that you guys get out of these cars, it's going to lead to getting a little bit of speed advantage coming into these areas. But with this wet track, it is definitely going to tend to give some hard braking zone into turn 1. A lot of character going into turn 1 for sure.
Yeah, plenty of character around this racetrack. That first 3 turns section feels more like a street circuit than anything else, but that's neither here nor there. Let's take a look in a moment for Edgar Sancinelli. Hits a puddle heading down into Parabolica and loses it through the braking zone. That standing water is going to be something that catches out a lot of these drivers all throughout this race, and I have a feeling that it is going to be It's going to be a challenging one for these drivers, to be sure. There were 2 rain races for the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors this past season. one at Alton Park and the other at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course. Very different racetracks, both rather, actually I say Alton's odd. Alton's rather normal compared to the New Hampshire Motor Speedway infield and outfield road course. That track is a whole different kettle of fish. I absolutely love it though. That track is very fun. So going from one odd track a couple of months ago for the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors, where they made their rain race debut, here now to Maunz. And incidentally enough, on the subject of running in the rain in the Formula Vee, I remember one time back in June, I somehow glitched my way onto running a Formula Vee around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the wet, as we see Matt Thompson sliding his way down into turn number 1. I can't even imagine how that is going to be at the very beginning of this race, but this is certainly going to be a good one. I am convinced that we are going to have a good day of racing action, and despite being a goofy layout, I feel like this track is going to produce some rather exciting racing.
No, I am 100% on board with you. This is going to be very exciting racing. This whole day is going to be some exciting racing with the different layouts and different cars. And, we've got, 33 cars registered in this session. That's just going to tend to, and rain just adds to it. I mean, if anybody watched the F1 race last night, knows that rain makes for better racing sometimes. And so I'm excited to see what these guys can do with these cars.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers that you see out on the racetrack are resident members of the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors, some of them being champions as well. Tortello is your champion for Season 1 of 2025, trying to look to see exactly where he placed in that qualifying session, which we will get a better view at in a couple of moments' time once we take a look at the starting grid. Holy cow, this track has gone dark. Oh boy, they need to stick a flashlight on the front of these race cars so they can see their way around this place. But Jason Green going to grab the pole in the 160 car. He was involved in that Spec 1 championship fight this past season and is off the back of 2 straight P2 finishes in the championship. Trent Kramer going to join him on the front row. We have Ethan Orr starting this race in 3rd. Next to Felix Samoa is the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors champion, making his Formula Vee debuts, starting this race in 4th. In 5th, we have series admin himself, Mr. Stevie Ray. Next to Jason Perry in 6th. Kane Lasky will start in 7th. Next to James Matthew Sheldon starting this race in P8. Michael McConnell will start in 9th. And SMB's very own Adam Thompson going to round out your top 10.
In the 11th spot, you've got Dan Sadro in that Fox Speed Racing. Starting on the outside of him is Thor Tello in that 12th spot. Antonio Janae in the 13th spot. Alan Deganis in 14th. Brad Cathart in the 15th spot. Kurt Nunez in 16th. 17th spot is Jeff Jacobson. 18th spot is Michelle Lynn. In the 19th spot, Matt Thompson for Frito Sport. And then in the 20th spot, Nate Colisio.
There we go. Well done. Nate Coliseo going to be starting in 20th. Right behind him, we're going to have Edgar Sancinelli, Mr. Frito Sport himself, in 21st. Jason Grider going to join him on that 11th row. We have Daniel Tufts in 23rd. Chris Scriven making his Weekend Warriors debut, unless I'm very much mistaken, starting this race in the 24th starting spot. Nick Tullo, the father of Tor, going to be starting this race in P25. Gregory Estes going to join him on the 13th row. Paul Jackson, the Brit, in 27th. Rasmus Viore, the Finnish driver, starting this race in P28, making his Weekend Warriors debut as well. Jesus Rodriguez, a champion from the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors from a few seasons ago, will start in 29th. And Keith Dalton set to round out your top 30. Only one more starter, that being Josh Justice, and we won't talk about the drivers set to start in 32nd. So that is those are your starters for this first race of the day. 25 minutes of racing action in front of us, Mike. I gotta imagine the first minute going to be maybe the most important of all.
No, absolutely. I mean, just this rain adds a completely different element to these guys as you can just see it falling from the sky on these guys. It's just going to lead to that front straightaway, running as hard as you can into that front straightaway and slamming on the brakes for that first chicane. It's just going to add to some chaos for these guys, but it definitely, I'm excited to see what these guys do once they get settled in, once they get into a groove. We are going to be in for just a day full of racing here. That's just going to be amazing.
It is going to be a heck of a lot of fun here today. So happy all of you can join us here on Slow Motion Broadcasting for this special presentation of the 44th Right Esports Week 13 Weekend Warriors Runoffs. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun, and it's all set to begin in a couple of moments' time. Through the spray, through the fog, and through the dark, dreary mood here in Maunz, these drivers got to be looking to have some fun singing in the rain. Try not to cry in the rain if they have an incident, but that's neither here nor there. But this is going to be a heck of a lot of fun to get this running of the event underway in a few moments' time. Jason Green, he's quick in this series. Trent Kramer, quick as well. Lots of drivers that you're going to be seeing on the racetrack all throughout today are some of the stars of the Weekend Warriors, and I have a feeling that they're going to be staking their claim on some of the top finishing positions. That pace car making the turn to come down pit lane. The field now in the hands of our pole sitter, banging through the gears. The green flag is out, and the drivers are on their way. It's a long run until Barry starts waving that green flag, but they're already gunning it, heading down that start-finish straightaway off into turn number one. Jason Green going to try and hold on to the lead on the inside line, picking out the braking marker through the mist and through the spray and trying to find an apex where you just see an Armco barrier. Look at Ethan Orr trying to get some moves done, making his way up into P2. He's now the inside of Trent Kramer and gets it done successfully before they think about getting into turn three. Now getting spat at through this corner, clipping the grass on the outside is Green. Oh, that was a big clunk. Not sure who that was. Multiple cars ending up in the barrier. I'm hearing lots of scraping and the unmistakable sound of metal snapping. Look at that. It's a pileup heading through the alleyway.
That was a huge pile. That had to have been 10, 15 cars stuck through there on that second part of that chicane. And man, that was just all sorts of chaos coming through there.
Lots of chaos going on at the very beginning of this race. Ethan Orr picked his way through the chaos to jump his way up into second. Jason Green still leading this race. Multiple cars got involved in that action, including Kane Lasky and Jeff Jacobson. Saw Edgar Sancinelli spun around. Daniel Tuss may have gotten a piece of that action as well. May need to load up a replay in the not too far off future, as we see Felix Samoas in the number 31 car trying to get moved on Trent Kramer down that start finish straightaway off into turn number one right now. Let's see how this is going to work out. Samoa's a very fast driver in the Spec Racer Ford, but going from a Spec Racer Ford to a Formula Vee, about as out of a transition as you could possibly get. Stevie Ray and Adam Thompson side by side. Wouldn't want to be in the debrief for that in case those two collide.
Yeah, I definitely would not want to be in that debriefing there as you see him coming onto that back straightaway. This is where everybody's just going to start tucking in single file. Just as I say it, everybody tucks in, gets into that draft. This is that long back straightaway that, you know, it takes these guys about 3 hours to come down this back straightaway. If you can set it by a sundial, but the sun's not out right now. But coming into Parabolica right now, this is where you do not want to get too hard on the braking, but you want to be able to make sure you're carrying that speed through here. As James Sheldon around that outside, you really want to just barely poke this thing out. It's about the midpoint of the turn. Carry some speed. You don't want to lose your momentum as you're coming down the front straightaway now. As we see just a whole pack of cars running there with Adam Thompson. And down the front straightaway into turn number one. Adam sitting in that fifth spot right now, tucked in behind Trenton Kramer. Just trying to get a run as these guys come into turn one hard under braking, trying to keep them balanced. And
Whoa!
Just as I mentioned it, man, these guys are good. They're right on cue with me.
Right as we're talking about it, bang, there goes Adam spinning around down into turn number one. Took out some cones in the process. That's not going to do him any favors at all. It's been a rather hectic start. Michelle Lynn and Jesus Rodriguez there in the pits. I think Antonio Reese, Daniel Tuff, Jason Grider, Rasmus Viori, and Edgar Sancinelli all got involved in that pile-up, heading off through the alleyway section of 1, 2, and 3 at the very start of this race. Ethan Orr and Felix Samoa is trading blows at the front of the field. They're battling for the lead, hang down into Parabolica. Looks like Ethan Orr going to get it done in the 222 car. He had a win overall in this past Formula Vee Weekend Warrior season, that coming at Thruxton. He is a very quick driver, despite the fact he's usually marked in Spec 2. He is fast, and I think he's going to be a good shout for that Spec 2 championship this upcoming season here for the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors. But as you can see them hang down that start finish straightaway, Jason Green going to make it 3 wide, heading down into turn number 1. I don't have a good feeling about this, if I'm being completely honest.
Oh, one going way outside there. That is the 222 of Ethan Orr, and now we're going 2 by 2, just like a heat race coming into this first chicane. And they're side by side as Jason Green taking over the lead now Felix dropping back into that second spot, and there goes, and there he goes. Ethan just gets a little sideways, gets it corrected, but now he's got to just try to carry that speed down this back straightaway after that just poor exit coming out of there. Drops Ethan back to that 6th spot. But that view right there just shows it. I mean, this looks like Australia yesterday in the F1 race, where or even the F2s, when they were trying to get the F2s fired up, this is what that looked like, and they had to cancel that race. But these guys making their way around, and just I'd be curious to see what an onboard looks like once at the time we get going. But we'll go back to a replay here in a second. Let's see what we can get coming down the front straightaway. You got that whole pack of cars coming down the front straightaway right here.
Yeah, that's Kurt Nunez. I believe he came to blows with Antonio Reese and merging back into traffic. Jacobsen upside down. Nunez flipping and bouncing all around the racetrack. Holy cow. It's that bottleneck again, the alleyway section, as I like to refer to it, heading off through 1, 2, and 3. Going side by side through into 2 did not work for Reese and Nunez, the 2 Masters racers coming to blows. Low bit of contact spins of both of them around, and let's see, coming in, bang, there's Jacobsen coming in for the kill, tips it over, goes upside down. Nunez nearly flipped it too. That was a huge amount of banging and roughing each other up. That was rough.
Yeah, it's never a good thing touching wheels, banging wheels with these things as we go live with these guys coming down into Parabolic again, trying to carry that speed around. And Dan Sadro in that 10th spot. Coming down the front straightaway, see these guys just draft and nose to tail, trying to get any advantage they can down that front straightaway. And it's the sheer chaos on these guys of being able to see what they're doing. And I do not envy these guys being able to run like this.
Yeah, as was proven many times in this past Formula Vee Weekend Warriors season, these drivers really don't fear death more often than not. So I have a feeling that we may be seeing that rear its head yet again today. That's a racing involving Dan Sadro, Michael McConnell, and James Matthew Sheldon in the 8th car, currently running fittingly in P8. And Sheldon was a very fast driver in his sporadic appearances during this past Formula Vee Weekend Warriors season. Scored a couple of good results, was involved in some battles for the win, and really interested to see how it's going to shake out for him this upcoming season if he decides to return. This is his first time in the big grid runoffs, and certainly flexing his muscles running in the top 10 right now. Just got a move put on him heading down into Parabolica of turn 4. Dan Sadro in the number 51 car was the one that blew his doors off. The draft in these Formula V's, it cannot be understated. It feels like there's a shop vac attached to the back of these race cars more often than not.
Yeah, no, it's they're so minimal power, but if you can get behind them, you can gain 1 or 2 horsepower. As we go on board with Jason Green coming into turn 1, you can see how dark it is around this track. Just being able to see your access points and being able to see your braking zones and seeing the puddle right there inside that second turn. You can see that puddle on the inside of the 3rd turn, but Jason Green in that 3rd spot, tucked in behind Trenton Kramer, trying to get a run coming into Parabolica. And I don't know if you want to make the move into Parabolica or if you would rather just wait until you get down the front straightaway and make that move into the first chicane area there. That's almost where I would rather make that move, is just kind of sit here, stay close enough, carry your speed through Parabolica, and then really make your move down that front straightaway, as Jason Green dropping back to 4th as Jason Perry jumps up into 3rd now.
Looking at this race, slowly but surely settling into a groove. 8 minutes on the board of this 25-minute long race. We've still got a massive battle at the front of the field. Felix Samoza and Trenton Kramer currently covered by thousandths of a second, hang their way down the start-finish straightaway. Is 3-wide action involving Dan Sadro, James Sheldon, and Michael McConnell getting a piece of that action as well. And let's see, heading down into turn number 1. This section is tricky enough to try and spot the braking marker as well. Throw rain and poor visibility into the mix as well, and you have a recipe for disaster. Look at Sheldon running really wide on the exit. He's able to hold off the challenge from McConnell. Loses out, though, on Dan Sadro in the number 51 car. I am shocked they managed to go through there 3 wide, if I'm being completely honest, bro.
No, I agree as well. But McConnell with the best driver profile picture in the game right now, I do have to say. But as we jump back with Jason Greider in the 24 spot, Jason really trying on a recovery drive, trying to get back up the field. Not able to get much going on right now. But we're just past the 9-minute mark, so we're not even halfway through this race yet. We got a lot of action still to come, a lot of stuff going on. Big mover and shaker right now is Joshua Justice, sitting in the 16th spot right now. Josh is up 15 places right now, so he's been able to make a good move. Oh, as we see somebody go off the track there, Daniel Tufts gets a little hairy under braking and just missed coming into that first turn.
And that was a wild off-track encounter for Tufts. I could just see trees and nothing but trees. I have a feeling he may have gone for the escape route and ended up on the oval. Let's see. Oh yeah, you can see him wiggling there. Hits one cone and bang. Whoa. There we go. That was he was so close to avoiding disaster, but just that small little tap. And in these race cars, that's going to be a pretty significant whack to the front suspension.
Well, these big, massive tires that are on these things, the big, huge grooves in them. I mean, it's just they hook up so well in this moisture. But you know, add the sarcasm font to that. But it's just crazy watching these guys run around, and they're doing a great job. But if you get stabbed onto those brakes just a little too hard, that's when things like that happen going into turn number one. You really got to baby the brakes on these guys. And as we see Trenton really trying to make a run on Felix down into turn one, this could be another, you know, hard braking spot. We see these guys get a little wiggle coming in there, but Trenton on the outside hopefully can make it stick as we come into turn number one. He's trying that high line, and Felix tucked down on that inside. There's puddles down on the inside of these turns, if you remember correctly, and Trenton goes through it. He's able to hold on to that line. 2 by 2 coming in. They go single file. Oh, a little love tap from Trenton coming out of that chicane gives Felix a little head start down the back straightaway. And as you get on board at the backside of Felix, watching them side by side, you got Trenton and Jason Perry side by side coming into Parabolica. Oh, looks like we may have some spinning going on in the back of the back straightaway there. But we will stay on top with your top leaders coming into Parabolica finally at the end of the back straightaway. And here we come around. Felix around that outside. Jason Perry now making the move on the inside of Parabolica down the front straightaway. This could be some spicy action coming down the front straightaway, Ron. These guys are going at it, and we're not even halfway through into the race.
Yeah, these drivers are constantly throwing haymakers at each other. Jason Perry getting involved in this battle now. We're running on board with him in this number 97 Spider-Man car. Let's see if... Yep, I had a joke lined up there, and then I realized if I said it, I was probably going to butcher it, so I will abort on that joke. He's now finds himself in third. And I was going to say it yet again. Every single time I try and say this joke, it blanks out of my head. So I think we'll just talk about the racing action. Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. There we go. There we go. That was all. That was all I was going to add to that discussion. Trent Kramer and Samoa side by side, heading down this back straightaway off into turn number 4. I find it so bizarre, the fact that this track only has 4 turns. I mean, granted, it is a small one, and it's a rather simple track. It's just basically a rather lumpy oval in a rather odd way. Just an oval that got dropped out of the bag. The handles on the paper bag were too thin. It hit the deck, and it got a little bit of dents knocked into it.
And it's inside out because they're going the wrong way.
That's true. Yeah, that's a very good point. I'm trying to think of a track that this reminds me of. I think there's a layout of Twin Ring Motegi that looks rather similar to this. I may have to hit the books and do a little bit of research to try and figure out what exactly that layout is. It looks kind of similar to this, as Jason Perry nearly went for a glorified round of lawn mowing coming out of turn 1.
Yeah, that was tough under braking, and I mean, like I mentioned, these guys are so sketchy under braking. But you want to carry as much speed, and oh man, Trenton getting offline there. Oh, be able to get it collected, but he's going to lose all that momentum down this back straightaway. Here comes Jason Greenby. Here comes Jason Perry. It's the Jason and Jason tow train coming into Parabolica. They are both going to get by Trenton just because Trenton just dipped that one tire. off into the grass. Oh, and he tucks in right behind Perry there, coming into Parabolica. And Trenton trying to recover from that little slip up that he had, as we are now closing in on that halfway point. So we're just past halfway point. Everybody is still going around. Everybody kind of stretching out as we go back on board. Let's see, Thor coming through that second chicane. So this is technically like turn 3.5. And coming out into the grass, gets a little sideways. Ooh. Oh, trying to hang on to it, taps that wall. Oh, he almost was able to save it.
He was so close to saving it, but he didn't at the end. Tortolo, a real-life Formula Vee driver, races in the UK, so you'd think that he should be used to driving in the cold and the rain, but that's not the case. Oh, bang into the wall. He was so close to saving it. So close, yet so far away.
Yeah, it's just tough. Once these things get into the grass like that, and they get a little hairy. But as you see, Felix really starting to pull away now. Felix with an almost 2-second advantage, and your fastest lap right now looks like your fastest lap is going to go to Trenton Kramer with a 109.3 overall. But Felix really starting to stretch that lead out. He's a good 2 seconds up. So he's really starting to separate himself from the rest of the field, and it's these guys battling back here that's really probably causing that. Is you got Trent and Jason going at it. They're going side by side. I bet you if they started working together, get tucked in a line, kind of like a draft party on a NASCAR oval, I'm sure these guys will be able to work their way back up and get back to battling with Felix.
Mike, it's funny that you said draft party a couple of moments ago, because in the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors community, they usually have some Friday night get-togethers, and those are called the draft party. So it's pretty funny how you raised that there. I'm sure that was probably entirely unintentional, but I spotted that. I had to raise that. But Samoa is really pulling away. Yeah, there we go. I'll give you the credit for that.
Yeah.
But Felix Samoa is extending that gap quite significantly. When it comes to Formula Vee races, you get to a point where you have a gap like that, it is getting to the point where it is almost insurmountable. I say almost. In conditions like this, a gap of anything can basically disappear in the blink of an eye if you just look at one of the puddles around here the wrong way.
Yeah, no, it's these cars are so underpowered, such small tires. But these track conditions tend to give the drivers just so much more headaches. You hit one little puddle and it swallows up this whole little tiny car. As you see Michael McConnell going along with James Shelton coming into turn 1. These guys trying to get hard into braking, trying to keep it stable. Oh, stay off that painted line. I think we learned that last night is about these painted lines in the rain. It definitely is not the fast way around. But it is a fast way to go around and swap ends and go the wrong direction on the track. But James Shelton tucking in back in behind Michael McConnell as they're coming down the back straightaway. Just a close battle right now, but your top cars are still, Felix still with a 2.5-second advantage now. But that second, third, and fourth battle is within a 1 second. So they're still real close. Everybody getting spread out besides that. So these are our two closest battles. You got second, third, and fourth, and then 7th and 8th. But everybody else is pretty separated out. As we've got about 8 minutes left, 7.5 minutes left to go. Ron, these guys have really settled into a groove. Is this what you kind of expected, or did you expect a little bit more chaos out of these guys?
That is a very good question that you raise. I will say, talking about my expectations heading into this race, they were a little bit muted, mainly because of the rain. I wasn't really expecting it to be this dark and dreary, if that makes sense, in terms of the track conditions. As it stands currently, iRacing marking the track as very wet. And currently, the track temperatures are 65 degrees, which is... That's okay if you just pulled a Coke out of the fridge and it was in there for like 5 minutes, but otherwise you're not looking at very good conditions for the tires on these race cars. And around a track like this as well, it is basically an oval with some small detours on either end being run in the opposite direction. So Wasn't really sure what my expectations were heading into this race, but I gotta say credit where credit is due to Felix Samoa's. The fact he's been able to pull out the gap that he has, that's rather big, especially in the context of a Formula Vee race. So let's see if he'll be able to extend on that even more between now and the end of this race. Has the time to do it, but I think at this point he should probably just back off of it a teeny tiny bit and not have to worry too much about extending that gap even more. Brad Cathcart has come down into the pits. He's currently classed down in 23rd as Jason Perry ran wide through turn number 1 and loses out on the final podium spot to Trent Kramer heading off through the tight twisties.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing watching Felix just pull away now on Jason Green in that second spot. Trenton still tucked in behind him, but Felix just grabbing along. But Jason Green in that second spot, Trenton in third, Jason Perry in fourth. Then we've got our all-elusive leader of the Ray eSports, Stevie Ray, sitting in that top 5 spot right now. So Stevie Ray doing a great job and collecting himself and keeping them rubber tires going the right way. But he is getting he has some pressure from somebody behind. I think that is a lap car right behind him, as James Shelton's about 6 seconds back on timing. But Stevie Ray kind of in a bubble by himself right now. So he's got about 4-second gap back to Jason Perry and then about 6-second back to James Shelton. So Stevie just able to kind of run by himself and might let this lap car go by and just kind of do his own thing.
Oh, that was Kramer. Oh, golly gee willikers, we nearly just saw an on-screen death heading down into turn number 1. Trent Kramer in the 444 car coming in like a bat out of hell as we were riding on board with Jason Green. That could have ended in pure unbridled disaster as Jason Green runs a little bit wide coming out of turn number 3. That's going to cost him a spot there. And looking through right now and trying to see how this race is developing. We'll note that James Sheldon dropped down a little bit a couple of moments ago. Not entirely sure what went down there, but it must have been some sort of off-track encounter as we take a look at a replay and see that close call with Trent Kramer. Holy bejesus.
Yeah, that was a little sketchy. That's what we refer to as a code Braun moment, getting hard under braking and trying to keep it collected. So good save from him, be able to stay right there, but we'll have to see what's going on. But it looks like we've got everybody closing in on Felix now. The gap has closed up. I'm not sure what happened to Felix. He had almost a 3-second advantage, and now Jason Perry, he's dropping back to third. Felix dropping back to third spot now, Ron, I'm not sure what exactly happened to Felix.
Yeah, not really sure what went on with the driver of the 31 car. Dropped down the running order a few moments ago, and Jason Perry now finds himself in the race lead in the number 97 machines. That's a little bit bizarre. Not entirely sure what exactly went wrong for that driver. So that's a rather odd collision, but regardless, as I just realized that my cameras have not been synced up for quite some time now. I'm going to try and get that squared away as we continue to see this race develop and see the game of leapfrog restart at the front of the field.
Yeah, it's going to lead for some crazy action now as you've got your top 4 all separated by less than 1 second right now. It's not quite sure what the heck happened to Felix, but man, he had that 3-second gap. And now it is all game on now for these guys with 2 minutes left to go. 2.5 minutes left, Ron. These guys, I mean, it just makes this race way more exciting now. Maybe that's what Felix was thinking. He says, I'm a little bored out here by myself. Let's make this up. Let's make it a little spicy now, and we'll see if that's what happened or not.
Yeah, bringing the spice to this race, and usually when it comes to me and dealing with spice, that usually doesn't go well based off the fact that one time I've been to a jalapeno and then got my tongue stuck to an ice pack shortly thereafter because it was too hot. Felix Samoa's running in third, trying to bring some spice back to this race and trying to regain the race lead. He's got about 2 minutes left to go on the clock, and he's got 2 drivers going side by side right in front of him in the form of Trent Kramer and Jason Perry. That's some close quarter stuff heading down into Parabolica. Looks like they were going to single file out through there. Felix Felix Samoa, though, going to be within striking distance. That draft is going to be powerful. I was expecting the scenario in which we may see some photo finishes at the end of this race, but I don't think that really is going to be the case. The draft not too actually, right as I say that, these drivers go 3 wide, crossing the start-finish line to end off the 20th lap of this race and kickstart the 21st. So you can absolutely play me like a fiddle as these racers playing their luck heading down into turn number 1.
Yeah, I really do see that it's going to be tight coming across that line because, like I said, if you get a good draft coming into Parabolica, sit behind somebody in Parabolica, you should be able to pull them down the front straightaway. So that's going to be the turning point. I think it's going to be sitting and waiting to come around Parabolica, swing wide out of Parabolica, and get a good drive down that front straightaway. And that could be where we see our pass for the lead on the last lap. As we are closing in, this should be our white flag lap this time by Ron. It is a 4-way battle for cars within 1 second right now, so it is still anybody's race right now.
Yeah, it is still entirely up in the air. So who's going to take the checkered flag? These Formula V races can change in the blink of an eye, and I have a feeling that even with the rain and the clouds and the fog, this race is going to be no different. The white flag going to be in the air for Felix Samoa. Will he be the one taking the checkered flag, though? That remains to be determined. Look at those drivers, 3 wide, gonna risk it, heading down that start-finish straightaway, off into turn number 1. Look at Trent Kramer in that Bumblebee race car, trying to sweep around the outside. Let's see how this is going to work. Swiping back to the inside line, trying to get that moved on, and Jason Perry hits the puddle, and they nearly come to blows coming out of turn number 1. He drops back down to 3rd. Felix Samoa's in the race lead. Perry going to be enjoying the draft, heading down this back straightaway for the final time in this race. Look at Jason Green in the back of the shot there as well. He may be within striking distance. He's usually the most patient driver of them all, and let's see if he's going to use that patient waiting game to grab the checkered flag. Look at this, though. Oh, running off into the dirt is Jason Perry, trying to get that moved on. Felix Samoa is heading down that back straightaway, off into Parabolica for the final time in the first race of the day. They're side by side. Kramer, he's going to have a monstrous run on these two. Jason Perry on that inside line. I don't think he's going to be able to get it done. Let's see how it works, heading down onto the start-finish straightaway for the final time. Coming to take the checkered flag. It's going to be a 3-wide fight right to the line. Trent Kramer with that speed in the 444 car. Is he going to be able to get it done? Will he be able to get it done? Winning this race is going to be Felix Samoa's at the end of it. Kramer was close, but he just was not close enough.
Yeah, it was just a little too late for that move, but man, what a finish for these guys coming around. Felix taking the win, and Trenton coming in second as the rest of the field coming down the front straightaway, doing some little donuts, doing a little flying around, and see what happened with these guys. But man, what a great race that was.
That was a brilliant race to kick off today's racing action from the Ray eSports runoffs. We're going to take a look at a replay to see Trent Kramer's perspective and all that madness, heading down that start-finish straightaway for the last time. If that start-finish line was a little bit farther up the track, I think that may have been Kramer's to take, but he was not close enough at the end. The final margin of victory between those two drivers, according to iRacing, which is slightly different than our live timing screens usually say, is 33 thousandths of a second between Samoa's and Kramer. After 25 minutes, I would be lying if I said that was the smallest gap I've ever seen, though, in the Formula V's. Josh, you may have to correct me on this, but I think we had the final race of the season covered by like 9 thousandths or something ridiculous like that. So 33 thousandths is like a vast yawning chasm compared to some of the other gaps that we've had this season, but still an awesome race.
No, it was an awesome race. As we were kind of watching Jason Green doing a little pre-testing here. Is this what we call this here?
Yeah, if we are running on the oval later on, there are a lot of racetracks on the iRacing platform, so we're gonna have to wait and see if we do get some experience on the oval here today. But Jason Green, along with Jason Perry, doing the old Weekend Warriors tradition. So, Mike, here's a little bit of an initiation for you here. These drivers usually like to tear the crap out of their race cars after they take the checkered flag, and looks like they're going to be using the staging area, heading down into, I believe that would be 3 and 4. on the oval the way it was driven around in real life, the right turning version of the oval, using that as a small little staging area to wreck the crap out of the race cars. And I think iRacing said, alrighty boys, you've had enough fun and going to back to pit lane. So I think that is all of the crash 'em up wreck fest that we're going to be having at this race. And I think we'll get the results loaded up here in a couple of moments time to get ourselves ready for the rest of the racing action we've got coming up here today. Felix Samoes going to grab the checkered flag to win race number 1 of the day. He finishes in P1 in front of Trent Kramer, who ends up in second. Jason Perry going to round out your podium in third. The podium finisher is covered by about a tenth of a second. Pure, unbridled, close racing madness only in the Weekend Warriors. Jason Green going to finish in fourth in front of Stevie Ray, Series Admin, finishing in P5. We have James Matthew Sheldon classed in sixth. Michael McConnell in P7. Ethan Orr, the Spec 2-man, usually in the Triple 2 car, had a really good shot to do well in this race. He ends up finishing in P8. Adam Thompson is classed in ninth in front of Nate Coliseo, running at your top 10.
In the 11th spot, you get Dan Zadro. In the 12th spot, Nick Tola up 13 spots, finishing in that 12th spot and right ahead of Thor. So Nick getting the better side of Thor on that one, especially with Thor having that little spin out earlier on. And Paul Jackson finishing in the 14th spot, also up 13 spots. So we had two guys making it up 13 spots from qualifying. Then you had Antonio Reyes in the 15th spot, Alan Degasnis in the 16th spot, Matt Thompson in 17th, Jason Greider in 18th, Michelle Lynn in 19th, and rounding out the top 20, Daniel Tufts.
And looking at the final drivers we have classified in this race, it's Jesus Rodriguez in 21st, Gregory Estes in 22nd, Brad Cathcart in 23rd, Chris Scriven in 24th. We have Edgar Sancinelli class in P25, Keith Dalton class in P26, Joshua Justice, Jeff Jacobson, Rasmus Viori, Kurt Nunez, and Kane Lasky running at the 31 cars that are classified at the end of this race. So those are your results from this Formula Vee race, the first of 3 races coming up here on SMB today. And looking through to see what sort of time we got here. I think we'll have some time to have a quick little chat with James Sheldon, who's up there in the interview waiting area. I'll grab him and drag him into the booth right now. James, welcome into the commentary booth, and well done on the pretty exciting drive out there in these rather challenging conditions at Monza. Talk us through that race.
Yeah, it was a very tough race. I didn't expect the rain, didn't know what track it was going to be, so I was just hoping for a nice position. And in the practice, I got the slowest time, which didn't seem like a good omen. But then in qualifying, I managed to get a nice time there, so that was good. And then in the race, it was really hard to see people. And also, something I didn't realize is in turn 1, the white lines are everywhere, so you have to dodge them. You need to figure out where they are. And at one point I didn't do that and I accidentally hit Adam, so if you're watching Adam, sorry. He seemed like it was okay, and also he had a great recovery. And I just managed at the end there to get ahead of Ethan and Michael. So yeah, it's a good race.
You know, James, here's a pretty good question for you, but how many times have you driven on this layout on Monza?
Well, I just bought the track, so yeah, first time.
Oh, millions of times. All right. Well, good run from you, James. that is for sure.
That was a very good question that he asked there, Mike. So not a lot of experience running around Monza, but how did you like this track and this rather odd layout of it?
It's a nice track, yeah. I especially like I think it's better in the rain, because I think in dry, I think most of the turns would be flat out, which very boring, you know. So yeah, I like this layout. Also, I forgot to mention, I think at some point, I think it was because I went into the back of Adam, I ruined my aerodynamics, so I was actually really slow on the straights, and that was really difficult. But despite that, I still like the track, still like the race, yeah.
It still seemed like a good race for you, and looking forward to seeing you on track for the rest of this race meeting, whatever track we're going to be running at for the Formula Fords and the Spec Racer Fords. I'm playing a little bit stupid here, but James, nice to see you out on track here for your first time here on the Big Grid Weekend Warriors runoffs, and excited to see you on track for the rest of today, and also for the new season of Formula Vee set to begin in 1 week's time. So thanks for joining us in the commentary booth, man, and we'll let you go and maybe get some practice for the Formula Fords.
Actually, I'm not doing the other two. Sorry if you thought I would be. I'm
okay.
just doing the Formula Vee, of course, because I'm in a good
Gotcha, all right. Alrighty, well, we will see you on track, hopefully, for the Formula V's this upcoming season for Season 2 of 2025. And since you're going to be dipping out for the rest of the day, anyone you want to give a thanks to or shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, thanks to you, Stevie, for setting up the event. It was a great event. Nice track choice. I thought it was going to be something stupid like another dirt oval, but luckily it wasn't, so it was a nice track. And thank you to you guys, of course. You always do a great broadcast. And, yeah.
Well, thank you for the kind words there, James. Excited to see you back out on track for the Formula V Weekend Warriors for Season 2 of 2025, because I think you're going to be bringing the thunder there. But thanks for joining us in the commentary booth, man, and excited to see you back out on the track wherever it is in the not-too-far-out future, man.
All right, thank you.
And that right there was James Matthew Sheldon, one of the participants in this race. Ended up in 6th at the end of it all, but we got more racing action coming up. We got the Formula Fords and the Spec Racer Fords coming up, so we're going to take a quick little break here, and we'll be right back with some more racing action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Season 1 of 2025. Let's see what's way through the corner. That wasn't the crest doing him dirty. Set to have a whole lot of stuff to worry about if you are these racers.
They're right off the beginning of something you probably want to monopolize on. Right
Inside your screen, switched its attention to the massive pack of race cars that's going to blow his doors off and blow off the starter stand. The green flag is that the drivers are on their way. Locked for at this race, the grass and the gravel that aligns this racetrack. It's old school, so it doesn't have a whole lot of asphalt runoff area involved in that as well. Burden, I believe, is a newer racer. Oh, that's a big crash coming out of the corner. What is I was mentioning all of those racers. He's a very talented racer of his own. These two fast. He's perhaps very early on into this race. Looking maybe what a big crash heading through turn number 1. That shoots him at turn number 4. And here we go, side-by-side racing off into the corner. This can usually end in tears. One of these drivers is going to have to back out of it and something at that off track. But Maunz is still allowed to go. Coming out of the corner, side-by-side going up the hill. Turn number 6, speed coming out of the corner. Walker in number 96. They are banging doors. And they they're linked together. That corner, but you can see Montgomery maybe got size of a move on Coliseum. As Coliseum may try and get a move on. Just about nothing on this racetrack. Damage going on there. That Coliseum running way underway into turn 5. He's going to lose that on that spot of Chris Montgomery. And CO2 on contacting. Getting a whole lot of pressure side by side with himself, and that is
now coming out of the pit. Let's see what his pit lane time is, because this is going to be very important for John.
Checkered flag. I gotta know what's that. Josh's eyes graphics card. And another driver coming in. That's Jeff Jacobson upside down. Oh, boy.
Through 50, slowing crest, 40, 1 left. Caution to 2 right short.
Introducing the Sim Motion Rally Sequential Shifter. Our shifter is specifically designed for sim racing enthusiasts who want to enhance their experience in the rally world using a push-pull system. Compatible with wheelbases like the Sim Magic Alpha series, V&M Direct Drive, Fanatic, and Simucube, and can easily be installed in minutes. It also has the adjustability to suit any wheel or driver's needs. It's also plug and play with titles like Dirt Rally, iRacing, and WRC. Available now at sim-motion.com. Sim Motion has teamed up with iRacing and V&M Simulation with an extreme prize package for Season 4. To win, paint any car with a Sim Motion logo, race in 10 official iRacing events, and you are entered to win an extreme direct drive and GT wheel bundle. But that's not all. Compete in the Formula 1600 Fix Series, win your division, and you could score this set of pedals. Gear up and get racing. The rewards are waiting. With years of experience and a passion for customer service, Sim Motion is a trusted name for Sim Magic products. Whether you're just getting started or a seasoned pro, we have the gear to get you on the podium. At Sim Motion, we don't just sell gear, we feel your passion for sim racing.
Tackle 40 minutes of racing action, a 40-minute race set to have a whole lot of stuff to worry about if you are these racers. Have to worry about the pit stop. Inside your screen switched his attention to the massive pack of race cars that's going to blow his doors off and blow off the starter stand. The green flag is out, the drivers are on their way. Locked at this race, the grass and the gravel that lines this racetrack. It's old school, so it doesn't have a whole lot of asphalt runoff area. But he's a very talented racer of his own. These two fast. He grabs very early on into this race, looking Danny Wood at a big crash, heading through turn number 1. That's chasing that turn number 4. And here we go, side-by-side racing off into the corner. This can usually end in tears. One of these drivers is going to have to back out of it. That's going to be at Gallup. But Maunz still allowing some room coming out of the corner. The side-by-side going up the hill through turn number 6. Spade coming out of the corner. Walker, the Canadian, in the number 96. They are banging doors, heading into the braking time for the final time. They're linked together. That or you put a qualifying fuel load in either way.
the pits. Let's see what his pit lane time is, because this is going to be very important when Yanchi wins.
I don't know what to say. There's Brett Cathcart upside down. And another driver coming in. That's Jeff Jacobson upside down. Oh, boy.
Braun and Oval, everybody. Welcome back to this presentation of the 44th Weekend Warriors runoffs. For the first time for the Formula Fords, we're running on the Monza right-hand turning oval. That old patchy track with asphalt about as patchy as my face when I was 14 is playing the host of the second race tonight, and this is going to be a heck of a lot of fun. It's myself, Ron Maunz, and Mike Braun on this call for you all this evening. We got Joshuah doing the silent warrior job, working on all the cameras and the virtual production hauler, and this is going to be a heck of a lot of fun. We're off the back of a rain-soaked Formula Vee race. We're here for the FFs. The rain is gone, and in place of a shortened, goofy 1.5 mile road course with 4 turns, we're on a track with 4 turns, but this time it's on a 2.64 mile long oval. Mike, this is going to be odd.
you nailed it right on the head. It is going to be a very odd race. It's backwards to all of us running on oval, as you see on board right now with Kane doing 137 miles an hour coming around these high banked ovals. I don't know the last time that one of these cars have gone that fast, but it is definitely going to be some interesting, and as I keep saying, it's going to be spicy. But it really is going to be interesting. As you see the leaderboard right now, your let's see, top 30 cars are within 0.3 of a second. So it is really going to be interesting to see how these guys draft, how they are able to work together. And as we're closing in on the end of qualifying right now, it is going to be chaotic.
And as we continue to see these drivers hit this track and absolutely bending the floor pans in their race cars, as I say that, Edgar Sentinella just got sucked up into a UFO portal. We're about to get this 25-minute race underway in a couple of moments' time. We're running on an oval. I'm not really sure what else to say other than that. Let's get that starting grid loaded up in a few moments' time and get this show ready to rock and roll. This is going to be goofy, bizarre, and incredibly entertaining in the process. So this is going to be a heck of a lot of fun. Kane Lasky will grab the pole for this race in the 09 car. Adam Thompson set to join him on the front row. We've got Felix Samoa starting in 3rd next to Matthias Dulag starting in 4th. Tortolo will start in 5th next to Florian Utz. My German ancestors are rolling in their graves, starting in 6th. We have Daniel Tufts in P7, Trent Kramer in P8, Curtin Nunez in 9th, and Joshua Justice riding at your top 10.
In the 11th spot, you got Jason Perry. 12th spot's going to go to Jose Rodriguez. 13th spot is Ethan Orr. 14th spot is Boris Essman. 15th is Michelle Lynn. Starting next to her is Edgar Santinelli. In the 17th spot is Matt Thompson. 18th spot, Antonio Janae. Jeff Jacobson in 19th. And your 20th spot, just barely 0.2 of a second behind your pole sitter, is Juan Garcia.
Looking at the driver starting right behind Garcia in 21st, we have the New Jersey man of Scott Russell, Stevie Ray, start alongside him. Man, I'm all out of whack right at the start. Let's restart this. Jason Green got started in 23rd. Nick Tullo in 24th. Looking at the drivers right behind them, it's Brad Cathcart, the Aussie, in the 905 in 25th. Mike McConnell in 26th. Keith Dalton in 27th. Paul Jackson in 28th. Dan Sadro starting in 29th. And Simon Zott, Polish driver, I believe, starting this race in 30th.
31st is going to be Jason Greider with Alan DeGassis in 32nd. 33rd is Dan Witzak and Kane Halliburton in 34th. 35th spot is Rasmus Viori, and Chris Marikwami is 36th. Michael Odell is your last gridded car in 37th. Some knucklehead loaded into the session as a driver in the 38th spot.
And with that being said, you can see me on track for the Spec Racer Ford race coming up later on. Gotta go for that three-peat. But, Mike, there's gonna be some fun running on the right-hand turning oval. Very rarely do you see right-hand turning ovals, but this was the version that Maunz ran. They never ran this in the left-hand configuration. They always ran it clockwise. So it's an odd track. It's a historic track as well. And this is going to be a spectacle to behold, doubly so considering you can see the shadows of the cars through the trees. Not entirely sure if iRacing is loading that up properly, but you can see these cars on the high banks. Nice to see the high banks being used, and hopefully not going to be nice to see some cars end up in the trees if there's any contact.
After the race, there is no telling what's going to happen to these guys. As we learned in the last race, these guys like to do a little fun after racing is over. So, but racing action is definitely going to be spicy. These cars doing almost 140 miles an hour is definitely going to be just crazy. But Adam Thompson on the pole. How is this? How is that going to be? How is anybody going to survive this race?
I do not know. Honestly, I think Adam's tactic is going to be turning around and just meowing at his competitors, because considering it sends me into... It doesn't even send me into fight or flight. It sends me into flight or flight. I either want to get away or I want to get the hell away whenever he comes into the commentary booth and meows, which I can attest to because he came into the commentary booth and meowed between the Formula Vee and the Formula Ford race. So thank you, Adam, you slick son of a... Ready to get this race underway in a couple of moments' time, running on the high banks. This track is absurd, and it's also going to put on some absurd fun. That green flag coming out in a couple of moments' time. The field now in the hands of our pole sitter, Kane Lasky, already gunning it yet again. An early start, but the green flag is out, and the drivers are on their way. And coming to blows already in the back. A shot and flipping upside down. That's Chris Murakami tumbling, heading his way down the start-finish straightaway. It looks like that's a pretty solid start for Felix Samoa as he's going to jump into the race lead already. We got some side-by-side racing. We got some 3-wide. We got some 4-wide. We got everything going on already.
Yeah, that was a pretty sheer chaos just for a straightaway, but watching these guys come around as we're coming down the turn into what is technically turn 2, man, these guys are just running nose to tail, 3-4 wide. There is no rhyme or reason really with these guys, as they're just tucked in behind, getting a little draft, and holy moly, that's a lot of cars coming down into turn 3 and 4.
Holy cow. I'm not even sure what I can say about what we're seeing right now. It's a sight to behold, and it's also absolutely terrifying for those drivers out there on the racetrack right now. Let's look at this. 4 wide nearly, heading off through 3 and 4 as a field goes their way on. That is a beautiful camera shot, and oh my god, multiple cars coming to blows. Tortello got a piece of that action as well. I think Kane Lasky's upside down and tumbling. Multiple drivers. Holy cow, that is a big wreck. Oh my god, how many cars do we have involved in that? That had to have been 15.
It has to be close to half the field. Since I'm loading in the session, maybe I could just jump in and I can get a good top 5 out of these guys the way they keep running. But these guys were running around. Your top 10 are nose to tail right now, coming onto the back straightaway. You got about 10, 12 cars just, oh man, that's like 4 wide coming down that back straightaway. That's just going to lead to just nothing good, honestly, as these guys are continuing. 4 wide. Oh, man.
Oh my golly, gee willikers, I don't even know what to say at this point. Every single time I see these cars get a matter of like inches apart, I'm immediately expecting a car to get pinged off so high up into the sky they probably will land their way in Sicily when everything is said and done. This field is rather smaller than it once was a couple of moments ago, and I will know Michelle Lynn involved in that battle as well. You can see her in the 215 car, nearly in the midst of some 3-wide action, heading down into turn at number 1. Someone's exiting the pits. That's a terrifying view. Speaking of a terrifying view, look at the lapped car. Oh, look at the contact thing down into turn number 1 and 2. Oh, I don't have a good feeling about this lap traffic encounter at all. Not sure who that is, but whoever it is, they have a blue race car from my perspective, and they're probably got some brown pants. Someone just ballparked it.
Yeah, they just got pinched on that high line and up against the wall as we go on board with Jason Greider, sitting just watching these guys come flying past him. Greider is out of the pits and trying to just stay clear of these guys. Maybe if he stays clean, he can actually get his lap back. But the way things are going, there's no telling. But just this pack of about 15 cars coming around by themselves. And then you got about a 4-second gap. So it's 10 cars running together right here at the beginning with a couple lap cars in the middle. And then you got about a 4-second gap back as, it's just no lack of action right now. As I'm sure these guys were well prepared to run on an oval going the right-hand way.
Someone just got pinged into the wall coming out of the corner. That I think may have potentially been Kane. Oh, golly, god damn, that, okay. I'm not even sure what to say. I don't even think I'm speaking any sort of language that a human could say all throughout this broadcast. Oh, and into the wall. That's a 97 scraping the barrier. Oh, contact being made. Holy cow. Kurt Nunez nearly just got turned as that was a 97 of Jason Perry bouncing the wall. Oh, more contact being made into the wall. That's not going to be good. Please, Toe. That's, oh, my God. We nearly just saw Michelle Lynn get turned in the midst of all that drama as well. I don't even think I'm speaking English. I think I'm speaking in tongues seeing this. But considering the drama, can you necessarily blame me, Mike? I don't think you can.
No, I think the racing action speaks for itself. We're just in awe and just, commenting on how close these guys are getting together. The timing tower doesn't do any justice right now because these guys are passing each other so fast. And I mean, the timing tower is going to catch smoke here shortly if this action keeps going like this. But man, this is the line. What is the line here? Is it the flat spot then increase up, or do you start up high and just kind of dive down? What is the line here? As Felix Samos up into the third spot right now. Felix taking the win in our first race and running in third right now. So we'll have to see if how he fares with this race going as we are, about 9 minutes in, so closing in on, it's not even halfway yet. And half the field's already been in the pit. 19th place car, so 18 cars have not been in the pit so far. From 19th and back have had all pit stops. So that's how sheer chaos has been going on in this first 10 minutes of this race.
And we still got a decent chunk of this race left to go. I am bewildered as to what we're seeing at the present moment. If I had a camera on me right now, most of the time as I see these close quarters calls and drivers nearly crashing into each other at a steady click of about 150 miles an hour, I look like a deer in headlights. I can attest to that fact. And riding on board with Kane Lasky, 140-ish miles an hour heading down into turn number 139, clicking over. You can see these drivers running all sorts of different lines on the bank. It got progressive banking around here, so it is flat towards the bottom and up towards the wall. It's high banked, but at the same time, as much as the banks may be high, the probability of you crapping your pants is high as well. So it's kind of a yin and yang if you run on the top line around this racetrack. Kane Lasky, who we're still running on board with, he's got a fantastic view of some 3-wide action heading down into 3 and 4. I'm trying to calm myself down. I'm not really sure if I can do that at the moment. You can see, Justice nearly hitting the barrier, heading off through the corner. All these drivers running very different lines. You got Justice running the high line. You got Kramer in the alligator car taking a bite of the bottom. And these drivers all trying to find any sort of way to get past each other.
Oh, and then it's just going to add to this chaos when they close in on these lap cars ahead of them. This is definitely going to get interesting in the next lap or so. But, NASCAR's got nothing on these guys. These guys are doing a great job. It's still entertaining. And I bet you every one of these guys are sitting back there laughing in their rig as they're driving around right now. But as we're coming around, watching these guys come through turns 1 and 2, and Felix Samoa's now out in the lead. So, it's still a group of about 6 cars all running together that could still be anybody's race. And like you said, we're just closing down that halfway point. So 12 minutes in right now of this 25-minute race. There's chaos coming into turns 3.
Oh, that's a big one in front of the drivers at the front of the field. Holy cow. Riding on board with Felix Samoas. He cleared him just barely. That could have ended in absolute disaster. Kurt Nunes now in the race lead. I'm not even sure what to say about the racing action we've had going on thus far, apart from what the bleep. You got some more drivers going 3 wide, going onto that start-finish straightaway. Look at, oh, contact! Nunes into the wall, just as getting a piece of that action as well. More drama heading off down that start-finish straightaway, which has taken a lot of drivers out of contention thus far, Mike.
Yeah, it's yeah, I really got nothing to say. I just don't. It's just sheer chaos that's going on right now. We'll have to see. This is the replay of Daniel Tufts going into turn 2 or 3, and let's see how it worked out. This is where the leaders are right behind. Oh, he cuts down. Somebody cuts down on Daniel. Not quite sure. Oh, that was Daniel that cut down on him on the 23. So tough break coming into turn 3, but luckily they were able to slide down that high banking and let the leaders go by without any incident. But like I said, I bet you these guys that are running right now are just laughing away, having a good time. And speaking of cameras, it'd be kind of fun to see cameras of these guys that are driving right now and just watching just the giggles that are going on, because I sure as hell would be laughing my ass off.
Yeah, I can second that. These drivers are probably giggling in both enjoying themselves, having some fun, and also being completely terrified more often than not, which, can you blame them? I certainly can. Felix Samoas and Trent Kramer, they're battling for the race lead right now. I think there may have been some more drama involving Kurt Nunes and Scott Russell and Jeff Jacobson. They're dropping down the running order. Stevie Ray, I think, just got struck by a falling anvil as well. There's a lot of stuff going on at the present moment, and I feel bad for... Yeah, I mean, usually I say that our producer, Mr. Wilkie, has to be like a chameleon, looking at about 14,000 different things at once. I feel like if we had the mic on in the virtual production hauler, we'd probably be able to hear Josh just screaming as these drivers were screaming as they took that one-way trip into the barrier.
Yeah, with these open wheels like this, there is no room. There's no fenders for these guys to rub into each other. So anytime that they touch each other, things are just going to get sheer chaos. So, if we had a different car with a little bit of fenders, it'd probably be a little less chaos, but that's what adds to this excitement of this race is watching these guys run around, almost 140, 150 miles an hour on this oval. Like I said, I don't know the last time that these drivers were going this fast with these cars. And I wonder if if Stevie had to make a special setup for these guys just to get, the gears long enough to be able to run on this track.
Yeah, just plop in a completely different transmission. Maybe steal one from like a NASCAR Cup car. That'd be kind of, not even sure how that would fit in a tiny little Formula Ford race car. So, hey, if anyone wants to try it, I would pay money to see that instructional guide of how to fit a NASCAR transaxle into one of these race cars, which are just so... I usually say that these cars are basically like an iRacing Spider with how far the wheels stick out compared to the actual chassis, which is part of the reason why every single time I see these drivers go side by side on the high banks, a little part of me has a panic attack. As a commentator, not even as one of these drivers, just as a commentator, seeing the side-by-side racing, and I think it's nearly going to end in tears, as we just saw a couple of moments ago.
Yeah, that was a good run from Trenton on that outside there, trying to get a good run down into turns 1 now, as we're on board with Kane Lasky coming into turn 1, tucked in behind Felix and Trenton. As you can see, some lap cars ahead of him. This could add for a little bit of action, but your top 3 are kind of pulling away a little bit. So your top 3 are separated by less than a quarter of a second. And then you got 2 seconds back to Edgar in the 4th spot. So guys are starting to separate themselves just a bit as we're just past 12 minutes down. So we're closing in on that halfway point here soon. These guys just getting settled in, trying to get a blinker there. But everybody's getting settled in as we watch Dan Sadro coming around in a 26th spot. So again, we've got guys that are 13th spot is the first car that has not pit yet. So everybody else has pit at least once, which that leads to believe that there's going to be more cars coming into pits here shortly. But Ron, we're closing on that halfway point right now as they're coming down the front straightaway. Again, I'll ask you, what was your expectations when you saw the names of the tracks that we were going to be running today? What was your expectation for this race?
When I saw that we were running on the oval, a part of me was scared. And then when we loaded into the session and I saw how quick these drivers were going around here, I got even more scared. This track is, I mean, granted, it is so much fun running around here. You're hitting the bumps. There is no comfortable way to run around this racetrack. There is only the least terrifying. And in cars like this, you could get that fixture and just kind of crank it up to about 15,000. With these drivers running as close as they are, as quick as they are, around a racetrack like this as well, where if you spin off to the inside, you're going to hit a grass berm and probably barrel roll about 15 times before you probably ballpark it. Or you hit the outside wall and either rappel back into traffic where you get T-boned and ballpark it, or you just vault over the barrier and ballpark it. There's not very good... there's not many options for you if things go catastrophically wrong, which is part of the reason why it's probably one of the most entertaining races I have ever commentated on. This is incredible. If we had some more drivers at the front of the field, I think I'd probably blow my vocal cords out by the end of this race, not even by the end of this broadcast, just by the end of this race. And I would be thoroughly entertained, though. I would certainly get my money's worth. But as we see this side-by-side racing action going on right now, I want to raise something that in all the other chaos and small little technical issues that we've been dealing with behind the scenes has been kind of fallen by the wayside, so to speak. I want to bring in someone in the YouTube chat, someone who I've had the pleasure of co-commentating a Weekend Warriors race with back in the summer of last year. That being Tam Stubbe in the YouTube chat. Tam, possibly the best Weekend Warriors fan out there, which I may end up getting flamed for saying, but she's always in the YouTube chat, always a fixture, and we want to involve Tam in this race. So Tam, I want you to pick a number between 1 and 37. You can put it in the YouTube chat, and we'll keep note of that. And we'll also have to circle back and ask for a number between 1 and 31 as well, because I forgot to do so a little bit earlier on in this broadcast. So Tam, if you could do that for us, that would be absolutely fantastic. We'll be able to reveal what all of that entails come time for the end of this broadcast. But Mike, we still got side-by-side racing going on for the lead. Dear God, these drivers don't give out. Yeah, no, it has been great running right now. Once everybody kind of got separated, it's led for some great racing action. You know, the early on when everybody was piled together, it was just sheer chaos. But this is where the fun is really going to be. This is where the guys are going to be drafting and just trying to get close to each other. You know, that second group. So your leaders are out in front right now, and they're all tied together within about a half second. Then you got about a 3-second gap back to Florin and Scott Russell running right there with them. So I bet you if that second group can really just, you know, get into a draft party, as we kind of talked about it earlier, get tied together, get running together, and get nose to tail and not fight. I bet you these guys could work their way up back to those top 3 cars. As we're riding on board with Scott Russell in the 22 car. And I will say, Mr. Wilkie, if we could maybe cut to an outboard shot following Scott Russell. I think the joke that I've said for many a moon here in the Weekend Warriors may have to be put to rest. I think Scott Russell running a tribute livery to the old Team Menard Indy cars from back in the day. I think that's what he's going with there. At least that's my open wheeler mind going on there. Scott Russell used to run I'm trying to remember if it was a Garden State Parkway or the New Jersey Turnpike paint scheme, and I would always remark that these drivers are so kind. However, we got a car out there on the track which is meant to resemble a road where 99% of the world's road rage comes from. And Scott Russell, I think, has put that New Jersey Turnpike scheme into retirement. But I gotta say, it's a pretty solid looking paint scheme, I must confess. That's always been one of my favorite, old school IndyCar liveries is, waking up early in the mornings, watching the Indy 500 and seeing that bright fluorescent yellow Menards car going around has always been a staple in my head when my dad and I would stay up and, get up early and watch IndyCar racing. So, and that color is very unique. It really stands out. So it was a good eye for you to catch that. Whoa, man, Scott getting really close with Florin there.
And right behind him is Edgar. So, I mean, not too far back. So you got the top three running nose to tail, and then fourth, fifth, and sixth running nose to tail. But your leader's starting to close in on some lap traffic. So this is where things can get real interesting. That second pack could really close in that gap here real shortly.
Let's see how this is all going to work out. Heading down into 3 and 4, still side by side. Not a lot of time left to go in this race, but I mean, based off the amount of drama we saw in the first 2 minutes, I have a feeling that just because we only have a couple minutes left on the clock doesn't mean this race is going to be settled down. Someone just scraped the barrier. It's always such a sad sound whenever you hear someone scrape Armco. It just sounds like, I can best describe it as a fork running on a metal plate.
Fingernails, chalkboard, something like that.
Yeah.
This guy's got the best
All
profile
fit.
pic.
Oh,
Yeah,
there
Michael
live,
O'Dell
actually.
with
My bad.
a great profile pic there.
Whoops.
As we're watching them drafting down that back straightaway, coming into turn 3. Odell and Thor kind of running together there. See what these guys can do, but they're quite a bit of gap back as Trent Kramer now taking over the lead. Felix dropping back into that second spot on the top of the board. Like you said, though, it's 6 minutes left for these guys as a car dripping off into the grass there, kicking some grass onto the track. Shouldn't cause any problems, though, because these guys are not doing anything down that straightaway. But it is definitely, Ron, it is very interesting to see the different lines that these guys are taking. You've got a couple guys that are really stuck down to that bottom line. Some guys that are, starting bottom, going up a little bit, and then you're whacking that outside car K rail. You can just hear it in the background. That just tink tink. It's like all I hear is miles per hour coming off that car when he does that.
Yeah, that and some paint flicks every now and then. That's usually what I think is coming off of these cars. Just shaving the sides of them. It's weight reduction. That's what it is. Weight reduction. That's what these drivers are partaking in. Passive weight reduction, basically running a nail file down the side of their car at 150 miles an hour, hoping that iRacing is good with their wall physics and they won't snag a bit that's a little bit glitched out and probably shoot themselves off into outer space. So it's a dangerous game, but a lot of these drivers are deciding to play it. And I will say, talking about some of the photos that a lot of these drivers have with the wonderful SDK graphics that we have here at Slow Motion Broadcasting, Odell's, it's got to be high up in the top 10 or top 5. There's a driver in the Spec Racer Fords, though, that had one that said something to the effect of, I just threw up outside of a bar in Boston, which we never got a chance to have an interview with them and ask them exactly what happened there. Not really sure if I want to, if I'm being completely honest. But whenever I look at Michael Odell's car, I'm reminded of the fact that as a 20-year-old man, most people my age would be in college right now. And despite the fact that I feel like probably 90% of my family would be sorely disappointed the fact that I make money acting like an ass on the internet, I feel like if I did go to college, this would be the situation I would find myself in, raving in a trash can.
Well, Ron, some stories are better left untold, is all I've got to say. Living my experience, being, past that half-century mark, I've learned many stories are better left untold.
I'm trying to... Now, I am very happy to say that I am a very boring individual. So I don't think I'd ever find myself in a situation like that. I feel like if I did find myself at a party that had something like that going on, I'd probably end up calling my father and say, hey, can you pick me up? I have a headache. So that'd probably be how that situation would go. And I think my dad's in the YouTube chat, so we could probably attest to that as well. And look at the run from Kane Lasky in the 09 car. Holy cow, had a super head of speed, head of steam, can't speak. Heading down the start-finish straightaway, coming out of turn number 4. He's going to try and take the race lead. Not close enough to get the moved on Kramer, but fighting back is going to be Felix Moaz, and that's a crash right in front of the leaders. Let's see how they pick their way through the smoke. Jason Perry spun around, and the leaders buzz by without any further into the 9-7 car, though, in a big piece of that drama heading off through 1.
Yeah, that was a little scary action for your leaders coming into turn 1 there, as Spider-Man, clipping on the inside. Oh, he just settled in a little awkwardly coming into turn 1, and here come your leaders looking at it and just going, please don't come up, please don't come up. But Felix able to get by clearly and get running by. Here is a replay from Felix's view coming into turn 1. As you see up ahead, you'll see a little bit of smoke coming up right there, and you're like, oh my goodness, where am I going? And luckily with these huge high banks like this, you're able to just sit up high and ride by. But you hear Felix just lift just a tiny little bit there at the end. But we're closing in on time here. We've got 2 minutes left, Ron. That's just enough time for these guys to get by for about 2 more laps. So this is definitely going to get interesting here at the end when you've got your top 3 still battling it out with about 0.2 of a second separating your top 3 cars.
As we ride on board with Kane Lasky and get this beautiful shot heading off through turns number 1 and 2 right now, can really understand the high banks around this track. You also see the bumps oscillating the car quite badly heading off through that section. And let's see who's going to be able to grab the checkered flag at the end of this race. Will it be these front 3 is a real question I've got in my mind. Based off the drama we've seen thus far in this race, nothing is guaranteed. That I can assure you of. As Kane Lasky running in 3rd, he's going to be lurking in the background, maybe saving up the run before he heads on to that start-finish straightaway for the second to last time in this race, the final time in its totality. He's got Trent Kramer dancing around on the high line right in front of him. Samoa's running on the apron. Let's see how this is going to work for Lasky. Look at that, gang, the run coming out of there. Let's see how this is going to work. Felix Samoa is trying to grab the Weekend Warriors sweep. Won in the Formula V's earlier on, trying to grab the win in the Formula Ford, and will be contending for the Spec Racer Ford race win later on today. Oh, look at that. That was Samoa's dancing on that yellow line. That's right about where the transition is from the low stuff to the super high stuff, and you can see that car bouncing around. That was super sketchy. You got some lap traffic involved in this as well, which is not really helping out Trent Kramer's cause one bit. Let's see. Kane Lasky, I'm a little bit surprised he's not going to be relying on that draft. Instead, he's going to be focused on remaining in the tow of Kramer and remaining in the tow of Samoa's. Let's see how this is going to work out. That right there is a 30 car in the midst of all of that action as well. Don't believe he is going to get a piece of that. That's Keith Dalton, who we just saw. But look at this, heading through. Only 1 more mile left to go for these racers. And who's going to grab the checkered flag? Will it be Kramer? Will it be Lasky? Will it be Samoa's? Lasky taking the run. Slingshot engage. Look at this. Samoa's trying to get the move done on Kramer as well. It's a 3-wide fight to the line. And winning it at the end of this race is going to be Felix Samoa's.
Wow. Slingshot engage coming off of turn 4, but Felix able to get by. As we go back to watch Stevie Ray now battling in that 10th spot, a whole another pack of cars coming around turns 3 and 4. Oh, slow car on the inside. Stevie able to collect that back together as little wiggles out of Stevie, losing a little bit of speed, but Michelle Lynn tucked in right behind him. Michelle trying to get the better end of Stevie as they're coming off of turn 4. Looks like a couple guys maybe running out of fuel maybe, but coming down the front straightaway, Michelle getting that draft, trying to get a slingshot to come by Stevie. Coming down and cross the line. Michelle gets by coming down the front straightaway. Nips off on Stevie right there as everybody else coming around. Ron, that was once we got through the sheer chaos of about the first 5-6 minutes, it really actually turned out to be a great race.
Oh, that was a superb race all throughout. I mean, even considering that chaos, it gave our vocal cords a nice little jolt. So that was fun. And that finish as well, absolutely fantastic. Will Ray's send the YouTube chat user Ron, which is my own father, saying that I can be a mystic spoon. I don't know if that's referring to my boringness or my intelligence, but either way, I clam confirm. Let's take a look at some replays here to see Stevie Ray in the 911 car getting some moves done and dicing. Whoa!
We clipped him.
Oh man, you could tell that was close based off the fact my voice shot up about 7 octaves there. Holy cow. Holy shift.
And he was wiggling all the way through that turn too after that. So that was a heck of a drive from Stevie trying to hang on to that one. But man, what a spectacular race. Once we got into a groove, once we got everybody kind of spread out, that was just fun. That is, and honestly, that's like I mentioned earlier, this is a race where the drivers just have a blast, and this is where they just were giggling and having a good time. So I'm sure everybody had a great time on that one.
I'm still trying to get over that close call involving Stevie. Holy cows. We're going to take a look at a replay of this finish. Yeah, involving Samoas. That's now 2 wins of 2 races. He won the Formula Vees. He wins it in the Formula Fords. And we got this, boy, worst time to get a hiccup. We got the Spec Racer Ford race coming up later on as well. So that's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. Let's take a look. This photo finish right to the line. At the end of it all, it was 11 thousandths of a second between Felix Samoas and Kane Lasky. I even had to check on iRacing to see whether or not it was our live timing software was actually giving it to Samoas when it was actually Lasky. But no, it was Samoas winning it at the end of this race. The smallest of margins, though, right at the line. Holy cow. Had that Formula V race, which was rain-soaked and rather intense coming to the line. And then this race just blew that out of the water. Meow. So, God damn it. Okay, let's get the results loaded up. We need to have some, like, what's like a hat that turns or something like that. I'll just have a guard dog here in the commentary booth. That's mean. Adam's gonna end up getting bit.
Definitely need better security around here. No doubt.
Definitely need better security.
Yeah, the security measures here at the Slow Motion Broadcasting HQ in oh no, where should the Slow Motion HQ be? Sheboygan, Wisconsin. There we go. I don't even know what the hell I'm saying at this point. So let's go through the results and try and brace ourselves for the Spec Racer Ford race, which is going to be a sight to behold in the not too far off future here.
Session just closed out because it's moving to the next one. So looks like we are lights out here at the Monza race, but taking the win was Felix Samoas going back to back in the 2 races. We'll have to see, maybe these guys have figured out the theme. We'll have to see what the 3rd race is going to be like. But Felix taking the win in round number 2. Kane Lasky finishing in 2nd. Trenton Kramer coming home in 3rd. Michael McDonald finishing in 4th. Edgar Frito finishing in 5th. So that was your top 5 finishers here on the Oval. We'll see you guys shortly with race number 3. Ron, this is going to be good.
We'll be able to catch that Spec Racer Ford action after these messages. Season 1 of 2025. Let's see what's right through the corner. That wasn't the crest doing him dirty. Set to have a whole lot of stuff to worry about if you are these racers.
They're right off the beginning of something you probably want to monopolize on.
Things on your screen switched its attention to the massive pack of race cars that's going to blow his doors off and blow off the starter stand. The green flag is out. The drivers are on their way. For at this race, the grass and the gravel that lines this racetrack. It's old school, so it doesn't have a whole lot of asphalt runoff area involved in that as well. Jordan, I believe, is a newer racer. Oh, that's a big crash coming out of the corner. What is off mentioning all of those racers? He's a very talented racer of his own. These two next. He grabbed pretty early on into this race. Look at Daniel Wood at a big crash heading through turn number 1. That shoots him at turn number 4. And here we go, side-by-side racing off into the corner. This can usually end in tears. One of these drivers are going to have to back out of it and something at that off-track. But Maunz is still allowed to go. Coming out of the corner, side-by-side going up the hill. Turn number 6, Spade coming out of the corner. Walker the Canadian into number 96. They're banging doors. Heading into the they're linked together. That corner, but you can see Montgomery maybe got size of a move on Coliseum. As Coliseum may try and get a move on. Just about nothing on this racetrack. Damage goes on there. That Coliseum running away into turn 5.
out on that spot of Chris Montgomery. And Tulo contacting. Getting a whole lot of pressure side by side with himself, and that is
now coming out of the pits. Let's see what his pit lane time is, because this is going to be very important when John.
Checkered flag. I don't know what to say. Joshuah's eyes graphics card upside down. And another driver coming in. That's Jeff Jacobson upside down. Oh, what? Tackle 40 minutes of racing action, a 40-minute race set to have a whole lot of stuff to worry about if you are these racers. Have to worry about the pit stop. Inside your screen, switched his attention to the massive pack of race cars that's going to blow his doors off and blow off the starter stand. The green flag is out, the drivers are on their way. Locked for at this race, the grass and the gravel that lines this racetrack. It's old school, so it doesn't have a whole lot of asphalt runoff area. But he's a very talented racer of his own. These two fast. They crashed very early on into this race. Look at Daniel Wood on a big crash, heading through turn number 1. That's chasing that turn number 4. And here we go, side by side racing off into the corner. This can usually end in tears. One of these drivers is going to have to back out of it. That's going to be Andala. But Maunz still allowing some room coming out of the corner. The side by side going up the hill through turn number 6. Spade coming out of the corner. Walker, the Canadian, in the number 96. They are banging doors, heading into the braking time for the final time. They're linked together. Either way. Getting a whole lot of pressure side by side with himself, and that is
now coming out of the pits. Let's see what his pit lane time is, because this is going to be very important when John.
I don't know what to say. There's red cap going upside down. And another driver coming in. That's Jeff Jacobson upside down. Oh, boy.
Through dip 50, slowing crest 40, 1 left. Caution to 2 right short to 5.
Introducing the Sim Motion Rally Sequential Shifter. Our shifter is specifically designed for sim racing enthusiasts who want to enhance their experience in the rally world using a push-pull system. Compatible with wheelbases like the Sim Magic Alpha series, V&M Direct Drive, Fanatic, and SimuCube, it can easily be installed in minutes. It also has the adjustability to suit any wheel or driver's needs. It's also plug and play with titles like Dirt Rally, iRacing, and WRC. Available now at sim-motion.com. Sim Motion has teamed up with iRacing and V&M Simulation with an extreme prize package for Season 4. To win, painting a car with a Sim Motion logo, race in 10 official iRacing events, and you are entered to win an extreme direct drive and GT wheel bundle. But that's not all. Compete in the Formula 1600 Fix Series, win your division, and you could score this set of pedals. Gear up and get racing. The rewards are waiting. With years of experience and a passion for customer service, SimMotion is a trusted name for SimMagic products. Whether you're just getting started or a seasoned pro, we have the gear to get you on the podium. At SimMotion, we don't just sell gear, we feel your passion for sim racing.
We're at Maunz again, folks. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this presentation of the 44th Ray Esports Weekend Warriors runoffs. We had the Formula Vees running on the junior circuits, the Formula Fords running on the oval. So for the Spec Racer Fords, why not do both? Hello, everybody. We're running on the combined layout here. This track, originally designed many, many moons ago and used by Formula One only twice, is a behemoth. 6.21 miles long. iRacing marking it as 9 turns, which I'm not sure is entirely correct, but that's neither here nor there. But, Mike, we have had some great racing up to this point, and expecting some more at this rather fantastic track.
Yeah, it's going to definitely be an interesting race watching these guys come around as we go on board with Kane Lasky down the kind of part of the front straightaway into what we were running last race, going into the oval right now. So this is the combined track. So you're going to be doing the full oval, and then you're going to be doing the whole rest of the track on the other half of the lap. So like you said, this is a over 6 mile long race now. Going to make some long lap times. We had to adjust the qualifying length just to be able to get the times in valid. But just coming out of turns 1 and 2, or if you just want to call it turn 1 on the oval, that might be where they're getting their number count for the race. But down this long, slow back straightaway, doing about the same speed as we were with the Formula Fords, 136 miles an hour going into that banking. Wondering if the lines are still going to be like they were in the Formulas, just up on the high side, down on the low side, just could be anywhere. But down into what we could call turn 4 of the oval, onto the second part of the front straightaway. And this is where we're going to lead into the traditional part of Monza with no chicanes. So we're going to be doing this long front straightaway. Again, this is going to be another super draft heavy track for these guys, trying to get together, trying to play nice. But I think it's going to be a little easier for them to play nice with those fenders on these cars. So this is a really tricky turn when you're going still so fast. Normally we're coming through here after you go through the chicane. This turn, whatever, I don't even know what turn number we're on right now. But coming into the hard braking zone, there's really be like 2 hard braking zones, and this is your, no chicane there. I missed the track map, so there is no chicane there. So here's your braking zone right here. We're all screwed up today. I just don't know what else to come of this race. But into the second Lesmo now. You want to carry your speed out as much as you can here. And now we're coming down that short chute. We're going to be coming downhill just a little bit under this bridge, and this is going to be the next and probably one and only hard braking zone, is this second chicane. That's technically the second chicane, but you want to get hard under braking. You want to get some curb on this one, get a little bit of curb on the second one. Don't hit those sausages because they do not taste good. And then you come down this short straightaway, and we're going to be going back onto the oval. So that's pretty much a whole lap around here with Kane Lasky. And as you see these guys coming around, 3 minutes, 3-minute lap time. So it is Braun. This is going to be I think this is going to be another spicy race.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one around this draft-heavy racetrack and these draft-heavy race cars skipping out on both chicanes. Gotta say, I have driven around this track layout extensively on iRacing, mainly because I'm just an odd person that likes some odd combinations on iRacing, and it's rather fun. So I think these Spec Racer Fords are going to put on a really good race. You got the oval section, obviously going to be spending pretty much the entirety of that section flat out in these Spec Racer Fords. I will also note something as well, which was something I learned when I decided to run a Cadillac GTP car around here, which would be even more terrifying with the new reworked GTP physics. The fact that you can technically run the oval section in the rain. Here, it is marked as a road course, so because it is marked as a road course, you can run on the high banks in the pouring rain. And doing that in a GTP car, I could best describe the handling in a situation like that as if my GTP car had turned into an ocean liner. It was fun, don't get me wrong. I would not want to be stuck with a repair bill afterwards, but it was a heck of a lot of fun.
I wouldn't want to stuck with a repair bill after any car that you drive, Ron, rain or dry. I just speaking from experience, but this is where the normal chicane is for these guys. So a lot of these guys are going to be used to really cutting through that chicane and hard into braking. So it may take a couple laps for them to kind of go, oh yeah, no, there's no chicane here. Especially when you're door to door with these guys, you're so used to a track being laid out one way. I would not be surprised to see somebody actually lift a little early trying to get down into that turn there. But as we're on board right now with Kane, turn another lap. Kane on the pole right now with a 3:06.24, almost a half second faster than Flavio in the second spot. So there's those sausage curbs that can be deadly to these little cars like this. I mean, they're bad enough in GT3s, but I can only imagine on a smaller car like this how far it will shoot them in the air. But closing in on that second lap of qualifying, you got 15-minute session for these guys to get some laps in. Kane Halliburton coming around into the final parabolica turn here, really trying to get a good drive around, maybe over slowing just a little bit on entry, but Kane really getting a good run. And I'm not sure, Ron, if the starting, the timing and scoring is on this front straightaway or is it on straightaway B?
I believe it is on this start-finish straightaway. This track is rather odd. If you just look at modern racetrack conventions and then you look at this, it's completely backwards from what it usually is. And Kane Halliburton, who I have some experience commentating on, the Jamaican in the 12, currently heading his way through turn number 1 right now, the first turn on the banks. And I mentioned it a couple of moments ago, we have some beautiful technology here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. So I think with that being said, we may decide to do a backwards hot lap here of this racetrack and give you a guide of how this track would be driving in if you were partaking in the reverse driving champions. Antonio Reese running around here right now. Dan Sadra on the number 51 car. That was okay. Of all the things I've done on the air, that may have been the lowest of lows. So on behalf of myself and everyone here at Slow Motion Broadcasting, I would like to deeply and sincerely apologize.
That was terrible, Ron.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, I would like to thank Mr. Joshua Wilkie and the production truck for putting up with me as I requested that. Yes, I did request that in the broadcast text chat that we have. Do I regret it? Yes. Do I also not regret it? Yes. So let's just get back on track and talk about this qualifying session with about 3.5 minutes left to go there.
Looks like everybody pretty much done. I think everybody is just trying to get a little bit of extra track practice for these guys. Antonio sitting on the pole right now. Masters guy with a 3:06.1, a full tenth of a second quicker than Kane. Kane had a great lap time as well. Jason Green up into the 3rd spot. And look at who's sitting in the 4th spot there, Ron. Do you think this guy's going to go for the trifecta and win all 3 races today?
I think he has a very good shot to get it done. Felix Samoas is your champion for Season 1 of 2025 for the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. He's a fast driver, pretty much in whatever sort of race car you put him in. We've certainly proved that here today. I remember some of the first broadcasts I did featuring Felix Samoas. It was in the Radical SR10, which is a rather tough car to try and tame on the iRacing platform. And he was quick in those race cars. He's been around the block in the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors series before, knows this car like the back of his hand, and based off the fact he performed rather well in the Formula Vees and the Formula Fords earlier on, I have a very strong feeling that Felix Samoas may impress in the Spec Racer Ford race, but I don't want to say that too much out of fear of jinxing him, which I may have just done as is.
The old SMB commentator curse could happen in this race, folks. It is well known for everybody, especially when Adam is in the booth with us. He is the one that usually jinxes us when we do a ride along and somebody just stuffs it in the board or in the pipe and they ended up getting broken. So we'll have to see if Felix can overcome it as Felix takes the pole. Felix coming by on that last lap with a 3:05.9 to take over the pole spot. Kane jumps up into 3:06 flat. Jason Green up into third now. That's going to drop Antonio down to 4. So Antonio, that Masters driver, was leading the way right then. And then all of a sudden, 3 guys just jumped straight over the top of him and took over their spots. So got about 1:30 left in qualifying as we're on board with Jason Green. And coming around that inside of that oval, trying to get as much speed as he can, but not drag a lot. So that's the one thing with these guys is they have a little bit more aero with that full body on this car. They might be able to run that inside line on the oval and not really lose too much time. We'll have to see how that works out on the oval when they get, 35 cars on the track, 35 plus. What do we got for car count in this? 44.
Whole lotta.
Yeah. Yeah, so 41 on the track right now. Ron, do you have your vocal cords ready to get your cough drops in? You got some water? Are you good to go?
That I very much am. I gotta say, invoking a little bit of a story from the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warrior season that has just gone by, at the Summit Point round, we had 56 cars, and I decided that it would be a brilliant idea for me to go through that entire starting grid by myself. I managed to go through all of it by the time they had their way off into turn number 5 after profusely thanking Mr. Stevie Ray for making sure that it was a full formation lap instead of a shortened one at Summit Point. That was actually a Weekend Warriors Spec Racer Ford record, which has only been reached one more time before, which was my first ever Weekend Warriors broadcast back in the spring of 2023, which is coming up to its 2-year anniversary mark in a couple of days. Holy cow. But speaking of holy cow, I think that's probably going to be our reaction when we see what these drivers do in this race that we have coming up, the third of the day. It's 30 minutes long as well, so this is going to be a heck of a lot of fun. Felix Samoas will start from the pole in the number 31 car, trying to go for that sweep. Kane Halliburton, the Jamaican, will join him on the front row. Both of those drivers, I've experienced commentating them in a whole bunch of different race cars. They are really fast. Jason Green, a very fast driver as well. He was battling with Felix Samoas for that Spec 1 championship. Didn't really work out for him, but he's still the 3-time reigning official champion for the Spec Racer Fords on iRacing. He's going to be starting in third next to Antonio Reese in a fourth. We have Maurizio Nazelli in the 44 car starting in P5. Kane Lasky in sixth. Josh Arnold, the Canadian, will start in seventh next to Dan Sadro in eighth. Starting this race in ninth is going to be Flavio Andallo, and Daniel Wood set to round out your top 10.
Oh, you're not going to finish it, Ron?
Okay,
You're
I'll go
talking
through
about
it
how
all.
you finished
Okay.
the whole thing?
Yeah, we'll go through it all. You test me, I'll test myself. Claudio Gradini starting this race in P11. Dan Witzak set to join him on that sixth row. Starting in lucky number P13 is going to be Joshua Justice. Tom Gradwell, the Aussie, in the 909 car starting in 14th. Jason Perry in 15th. Michael Odell in P16. Adam Bradshaw will start in 17th next to Mike Sargent in P18. SMB's very own Mr. Adam Thompson in 19th, Trent Kramer in the 20 car, starting this race in 20th. Kurt Nunez in 21st. Well, he slipped a little bit. The WD-40 worked his wonders too well there. Kurt Nunez in 21st, Phil Berry in 22nd. Tortello set to start this race in 23rd next to Chris Murakami in 24th. Now the WD-40 is working properly. Brad Cathcart in 25th, Edgar Sancinelli in 26th, Matt Thompson in 27th. Ethan Orr will start this race in P28. Daniel Tufts and Leonard Geese will start this race in 29th and 30th respectively. We have series admin himself, Mr. Stevie Ray, in the 911 car, starting this race in 31st. Florian Utz, who we saw in the Formula Ford race earlier on, going to be starting this Spec Racer Ford race in 32nd. We have Eric Luke starting in 33rd, Jeff Jacobson in 34th, Matthias Dulag starting in 35th next to Scott Russell in 36th. Only a few more cars set to start this race. Trying to remember where I left off. We have Keith Dalton in 37th, Paul Jackson in 38th as your forgetful host. Can't remember where he's finished when he stopped counting. Boris Espin in 39th, Jason Greider running at your top 40. We have Michelle Lynn in 41st, Rasmus Viori in 42nd, Andre Favini in 43rd, Juan Garcia in 44th, and some random asshole starting this race in P25. So that's going to be your starting grid for the final race of the day. 44 starters. That 45th car was probably going to crash by turn 1. So let's see how this race is going to work out. It's going to be draft heavy. It's going to be hectic, but Mike, I think it's going to be some fun.
No, this is actually going to be a whole lot of fun with 40 plus cars coming around on this track. Luckily, it's a 3-minute long lap for these guys as you just see them laying there onto this straightaway coming into Parabolica now, just following that iRacing pseudo Porsche pace car as we're going to come around and come down onto front straightaway A, I guess you could call it that, as we are getting ready to get going here, Ron.
And let's see how this race is going to be. I think it's going to be a good one, but we're hoping that it's going to be clean. A little bit cleaner than that Formula Ford race, shall we say. But heading down this alleyway of a start-finish straightaway to get this race underway, the green flag is out and the drivers are on their way. That's a lick the stamp and send it into the oval. Let's see how this is going to go. Are these drivers going to risk and go 3 and 4 wide? I have a feeling they probably will. But let's see. Side by side. 2 by 2 at the front of the field, and look at that. That's Kane Lasky in the psychedelic trippy hippie car involved in all of that as well. But Samoas and Halliburton, they're side by side. Jason Green and Antonio Reese side by side. Josh Arnold getting a piece of that action as well in the 36. Look at them packing up, coming out of turn number 1. They're already going 3 and 4 wide, bump drafting like mad. Let's see how this is going to work. I don't have a good feeling about this, if I'm being completely honest. And the bumps and each other, this is going to be intense. Contact being made already into the wall. That's going to be a big one. Into the wall, outside, multiple cars coming to blows. Upside down as well.
Oh, man, that was just sheer chaos. It looked like Halliburton getting tied up in that, and it looks like 3/4 of the field, it's still going on. If we've watched in movies before that the accident is still going, we go to commercial, and it would still be going on as they go through. And man, that was probably 3/4 of the field getting tied up as we're up front now with our top 7 cars. They seem to be the ones that are clear. That was, I'm not sure what happened, but it was another black car. I thought it was Halliburton, but it looked like it was another black and gold car. They got tied up, and just that the thing about bump drafting is sometimes these guys are moving side to side. And you get into a bump draft like that, and you could swipe across somebody's back bumper, and especially as light as these cars are, that can cause these guys to get a little sideways and get a little out of shape. Coming on the inside. Claudio getting on the inside, taking over that 4th spot.
Claudio picking up the pieces as Samoas and Kane Lasky ran wide together heading through the first Lesmo. That really was certainly some opportunistic maneuvering from Claudio Gordini. That could have ended in disaster, though, if he misjudged that a teeny tiny bit. But hey, got the move done, finds himself in P4. Leading this race, though, is Kane Halliburton, Jason Green within striking distance as well. Flavio Andallo running at your podium spots as it stands currently. The top 24 still out there on the racetrack. Everyone else has had to come into the pits, and the the driver of the number 2 car, the Ginger, did not take the start. So let's see. That Samoa's running wide, heading off through the Lesmo. Just for anyone tuning into this broadcast, no, I'm not criticizing a random driver. The Ginger is myself. So I want to clear that away before I get accused of bullying.
Got a little bit of damage on Flavio's car after that first lap incident on the 13th car on the left front corner. So we'll have to see if that's gonna hurt him later on in the race with some good aero. But we'll have to see what we can do as we watch the front cars coming down. A little flower power in the 09 Kane Lasky, and here comes a move from Joshua Justice. And here's where we talked about earlier is that inside line with all this aero that these guys have really is going to help them stick down to that inside line. You don't need to carry your speed, and you can hear Josh lifting just on and off the gas, trying to stay close, get that little bump draft. And as we're going down the back straightaway of the oval, but these guys are really slowing down, and that's where I was just bringing it up. Car 13 with Flavio with that damage on that left front. Really slowed him down on that straightaway. As you can see, some other damage on these guys just bumping around. But you can see the black car back there, that left front corner there, Ron, has got a lot of damage, and he is really going to sacrifice a lot of speed on this oval part.
Yeah, any sort of aero damage could really be a kick in the shins for these drivers in these Spec Racer Fords. Incredibly draft heavy. They can put on some great racing. The Spec Racer Ford iRacing's premier door wedge puts on great racing weekend and weekend. The Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors broadcasted exclusively here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And a lot of the drivers we got at the front of the field are drivers that we saw all throughout this past season. Felix Samoa's the champion. You got Jason Green, who is involved in that championship fight with Samoa's. Some other drivers all throughout this grid that we saw weekend and weekend. That series, some bump drafting nearly gone wrong, involving Leonard Geese and the number 527 car involved in a small little pack. It's also just odd seeing them heading down the start-finish right away as the drivers who are involved in that lap 1 schmozzle come out of the pits.
Can you spell schmozzle for me, Ron?
L-S-T-E-R.
Yeah, it's a little odd watching these guys come down on the straightaway, and we'll call it straightaway A and straightaway B, and see guys running parallel, almost like running at Long Beach, but at Long Beach they go opposite directions on those straightaways. But you see a couple groups of cars now running together. You got your top 7 cars within 2 seconds, and then you got about 15 seconds back to your 8th place group, as we're right now with Jason Green coming around into what looks to be, let's see what we've got coming in through the chicane right here, as we're trying to get the replay from that just massive, what did you call it, Ron? The schmozzle of a wreck. And here it is coming into the oval section, Ron. I'll let you take this one.
Oh, you can see that camera. I'm surprised that didn't get taken out. Look at Adam Thompson in the midst of all the, holy golly, gee willikers. Kurt Nunez coming in for the kill on Adam and all of that action. I don't even know what to say in all of that. Here's Tortolo. He's going to be taking a bite out of the wall, I suspect, in the Cookie Monster car.
I say we clip it, send it to iRacing for the what not to do on the Maunz Oval.
Yeah, I think that may be good. The Formula Vee Weekend Warriors saw a clip get shared onto the iRacing social pages of the finish at Summit Point. And here at Monza, Trent Kramer getting ping-ponged off. Going through the grass, yeah, going indeed, bouncing up and down like a rubber ball, more contact being made. Holy golly, gee willikers. That was such a bad crash that all the body parts coming up in the air. Not sure if those were the ones on the cars or the ones on the drivers.
Yeah, there's no telling. That was just sheer chaos. But oh man, just all you can do is just watch. At this point, you're just watching. It kind of reminds me of the Mazda MX-5 race at Daytona earlier when that just wrecked the whole field on that first turn. But man, what a sheer schmozzle of an accident that was, Ron.
A schmozzle with all caps LSTER. That was it. So contact being made coming onto that start finish straight away. That I think was Flavio Andallo upside down as Jason Green Oh, he's managed to flip it back on the wheels. Not sure how exactly he did that. I think I saw that car upside down. I saw the silver under tray as Kane Lasky also got a piece of that action as well. I believe he was involved in the initial collision that sent them spearing off into the barrier. Let's take a look at this. And Dallo made it 3 wide and bang.
Ooh,
Ping
that was a
ponged
little net
off.
code there.
And yeah, definitely a little bit net code. And there's Green. Yeah, he did flip it. I think he may have gotten put back on his wheels by Lasky though.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of net code with JG coming down a little bit and kind of bumping into Flavio. And yeah, it's just a tough break for these guys. They had a good group of guys going together and running together, but now they have that long, slow trundle to kind of make it their way back into the pit lane. Or you tow, and it's going to be probably a good 5-minute tow for some of these guys, depending on where you're at on the track. As you see, our leader up front, Kane Halliburton, has quite a bit of damage on the nose of that car. So that could tend to, cause some aero damage on those long straightaways on the oval. So we'll have to see if Kane is able to hang on to this, as Claudio about a half second back in that second spot. Josh Justice in third. And Felix Samolis, your winner in race 1 and 2, sitting in that 4th spot. See how we get there. As we're watching back a replay just to kind of see what exactly happened, is you can see right now Kane getting a move on that inside, coming around the oval right now. And back on board with Kane Halliburton now, looking to see where some of this damage may have came from, as coming through that oval right now, Ron. Pretty clean right there, so I'm not quite sure where that all came from.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what happened to the number 12 car. So that's a very nice looking paint scheme on that car as well. And I'm looking through trying to see how that car is looking at the present moment. Still in P2, side by side with himself and Felix Samoa. Samoa is looking to get that sweep here today, as a very good shot to get done in that number 31 car. But he's got some tough challenge. He's now getting a bump draft and may have to deal with side by side. Now, actually, they'll make that 3 wide action with those drivers heading down into turn number 2 right now. I was just going to note that he was briefly receiving a bump draft from Josh Justice in the number 99 car. Now, Josh is a real-life Spec Racer Ford driver, along with Michael O'Dell and some of the other drivers that we have in this race as well. Josh is quick. I mean, he's a real-life Spec Racer Ford driver, kind of goes without saying. He's going to try and get involved in this fight. He is a purebred racer. He is going to be risking it for the biscuit when it suits his cause.
Yeah, he's doing a good job, as you can hear him just lift and trying to not get that bump, trying to make sure he stays clear as they're coming down straightaway B. Oh, as you can see, Felix just really tagging into the backside of Kane there, trying to inch him a little bit farther up. And as we're coming down into this little sweeper here into what normally is the chicane, but these guys are running nose to tail. Your top 4 have really pulled away now, as you've got about a 21-second gap to that 5th place car. So your top 4 really out in front and really pulling away from everybody else.
As these drivers are pulling away, I will bring up something that will be a continual theme all throughout this, bringing Tam back into the discussion. Tam, the numbers to pick for this one are between 1 and 44. So, I gotta say, fantastic participation all season long here for the Spec Racer Fords, whether it be the Weekend Warriors or whether it be this 44th V runoffs. I know he said 44'd there. Not sure if that's proper grammar, but based off the fact I was speaking backwards early on the show, you can tell that I'm not the smartest individual in the world. Not the sharpest bulb in the toolbox, that is for certain.
About as sharp as a marble.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I resemble that remark. Dan Sadro, who we're riding on board with right now, is running in P29. He's got a fight going on involving Stevie Ray and Jeff Jacobson. Those two are bump drafting, but Sadro in the faux speed number 51 car, using that draft, heading down that massively long straightaway. Usually would call it the start-finish straightaway, but no, technically it is the back straightaway around this track, which is rather bizarre of a concept to wrap my brain around.
Yeah, this layout is definitely not normal. I mean, it is used quite often in iRacing, and guys know how to drive it, but as for commentators, it's not a usual one, so we're not used to what straightaway is what and what turn is what, especially when they only call this a 9-turn race. So Jeff Jacobs in the 28 spot and jumps out and just dips into that grass a little bit, going side by side, and is Dan Sadro right there with him. Dan with the sad face on the back of the car. It's very apropos for his name. But Dan hanging on to that 28 spot. Jeff Jacobson in 29 is getting a little draft into that next chicane. Is probably a good spot just to kind of sit back and wait as they're trying to reel back into Stevie Ray. Trying to make sure you stay off of those sausages, as we talked earlier. That is definitely not a spot that you want to go for lunch with the sausage curbs over there. But good battle right now for if we go back up front, the top 4 still going at it, and they are separated by less than 1/10 of a second, Ron, as they're coming off the oval.
Yeah, they are still vacuum sealed together, heading down that back straightaway, and just bringing up the sausage curb discussion again. Very much so overcooked, because much like an overcooked sausage, you will very likely chip your tooth if you take a bite of them the wrong way. Thankfully, they won't have to worry about the sausage.
Wow.
Oh wow, sausage curbs through the chicane. Wow, that was, my tongue got wrapped around my teeth about 15 times there. Claudio Gradini running in third at the moment, running on board with him in the number 33 car. This pack at the front of the field is giving us a brilliant show to talk about. You can see a little bit of the front scraping on the front of Kane Halliburton's car, and look at that. That was an aggressive move from Soto, cutting off Samoas.
Oh, Kane getting a little hard under braking, gets out of the grass. Oh, this is going to be brutal for him to try to close back in. Drops him back about 3 seconds off of these guys. That's going to be absolutely brutal for him, as he just losing touch with those top 3 now. Kane really going to have to work really hard, as we're closing in on about the halfway point. So almost 15 minutes down, and still 15 minutes still left to go for these guys, as we're watching Leonard Geese in the 527, sitting in that 8th spot right now. On board as we're coming around the Lesmo, all the rocks coming at him in the face. Man, it's the iRacing's done a great job with the debris, Ron, of getting things to pop up. But one thing that does lead to is debris on the track, and when they get off the track with the rocks and the grass like that, it does cause for these cars to get a little on the hairy side.
Every single time I think of the gravel physics on iRacing, I get terrible flashbacks to turn 2 at Bathurst, not Bathurst, Brands Hatch. There's the right track. I think we ran there for the Formula Vees and the Formula Fords this past season in the Weekend Warriors, and my God, it was so stoned. I'm pretty sure it was trying to get a job as part of Snoop Dogg's posse. It was so bad heading off through that corner. So I gotta say, thankfully, haven't seen much of that, but it's still going to be rather caked in gravel, this track, by the end of this race. These drivers pushing it to the absolute limit. These Spec Racer Fords, they are a car that, how can I put this? It's not a car that wants to be rushed. If the car does not want to take a corner at a certain speed, it will let you know and then spear you off the track.
Yeah, they definitely is. You get to pushing these things a little too hard. Those little tires on these things, they just do not agree, as Phil Berry in the 24 spot in the Cookie Monster Motorsports trying to take a bite out of Jason Perry in that 23rd spot, trying to reel him in, but Perry has another idea and trying to get into Kurt, going on the inside into Parabolica. And watching these guys run earlier, they really do have to slow them down quite a bit coming into that first part of Parabolica. They downshift into 3rd and trying to get a good run down that front straightaway, as we are back up front with Andrea, Leonard, and Eric going at it around the oval right now. So this is a close battle for 5th and 6th, as big battles going on around this oval section. This is a good, like, you can hear them just kind of scrape into that K-rail a little bit, but that's just a good spot. Just get a little draft, get a little relax, and then you get into this technical part of this track. Everybody's getting spread out right now, Ron. I think that early kerfuffle that we had really spread the group out and just really kind of got these into just separate groups on the racing action right now.
I like the use of kerfuffle there. Kerfuffle, a word that I believe was first coined by the Germans back in the 18th century. I completely made that up. If you're going to tell, Juan Garcia, we're falling right. You know, the worst part is I feel like that may actually be accurate. I may need to fact check that between now and the end of the show to see if that was actually coined by the Germans back in the late 19th century. I think there was a quote an anchorman that was very similar to that. Santiago, founded by the Germans in 1879, meaning of course a Wales nether region, and I will leave it at that.
Ron,
oh, hello.
Wrangle it in a little bit, Ron. You're completely left field right now.
Yeah, it's we'll bring it in. It's been a day, that is for certain. Jason Perry, we're following right now in the number 97 car. Involved in a small little battle. Let's see if he'll try and get this move done on Maurizio Nazelli in the 44 car. Nazelli, actually, no, that's Phil Berry. I was looking at a different part of the screen. What the heck am I saying? But I was going to mention that Nazelli, a very fast driver, but look at that, Perry trying to get that move done, and did get done successfully on Phil Berry in the Cookie Monster car. That was so close to ending in disaster.
Spider-Man beating on the Cookie Monster. That's just a kid's nightmare right there.
That's a clashing of the titans, shall we say.
Yes, absolutely. Back up front as we go into replay, watching battle for the lead. Claudio coming around the inside, going around the high side now, coming onto the oval. Claudio Gardini taking over the lead now, so you get that three-car battle out in front. And looking on the board, I don't even see our early competitor in the 4th spot on the board. Kane Halliburton is dropped all the way down to the 39th spot, so Kane must have disconnected after that incident. But three-way battle, and you see mixed in that middle of that battle is Felix Simonis. Felix Simonis in that 2nd spot, taking over the lead now. Felix taking the win in race number 1 on that kind of junior track, and then taking the win in race number 2 on the oval, and he is looking to do the trifecta. Definitely, that is it's a big challenge after we've seen some of these wrecks, Ron. It's definitely going to be interesting to see if he can hang on to that.
I think there's a replay of a moment involving Kane Halliburton. This, I think, we saw in live when he went off the track, heading down into the Lesmos. Double lockup, heading down into the corner, locked up both fronts and skated immediately into the gravel trap. That's what really took him out of all that. You can see the gravel getting spread right in front of him as well. So he was not alone in that off-track encounter heading through the Lesmos section. As here's him, I think, just decided to call it a day. That was coming out of the final corner of turn number 10. Pulled over to the side of the track, maybe signing some autographs, but clearly not the way you wanted this race to go for Kane Halliburton.
No, definitely not, especially when he was up front with that lead group and battling with those guys as we go back on board with Jeff Jacobson. Looking back at Stevie Ray, tucked in right behind him as they're coming around that oval section. You can see all that damage on Stevie's car. And just giving a little love tap to people as they were coming around, doing that little butt draft as they come down straightaway number B. I guess that's what we could call it, Ron. I'm not sure, but Dan Sadro getting the slingshot engage, shake and bake down the front straightaway to take over that spot up into 23rd. Stevie Ray tucked in, and these guys are three-way. Oh, that can cause a lot of problems with those guys, especially if that back car gets into the middle car and kind of pushes unexpectedly. That can definitely lead to some I've seen some Daytona action that just does not end well when they get bump drafted like that.
Yeah, I gotta say, talking about the bump drafting, which has been so prevalent throughout this race, every single time we look at the front of these race cars, they look so incredibly peppered. It looks like a piece of sheet metal that you'd see in an area for a paintball game. So it's looking pretty rough for these drivers. I don't think there's a single bit of these race cars that doesn't have some sort of paint chip or something taken out of them. These cars going to have war wounds at the end of this race as they did battle here at Monza. I think, though, as I said that, Adam Bradshaw in the 929 car, looks like the front of that race car is actually rather clean. I'm a little bit surprised.
He must have gotten repaired after that big old kerfuffle in the very first lap there.
Yeah, that could have done it.
That could have been it. But, these guys are really going at it. Less than 8 minutes left on the clock. Your top 3 cars separated by less than a quarter of a second. And then you got a pretty big gap back to that next group, 27 seconds back to the next 3 cars. So here's your battle for the 11th spot right now. Antonio Reese kind of leading that group around, trying to hold on in that Masters car, and it's getting a little bump draft right behind from JG2. And right in that low line, I was wondering if that was going to be the fast way around this oval track, is running that low side down. But as you can see, tucked in behind them, as we jump back to Adam Thompson, is just to add insult to injury, Adam, the Meow Man, in 37th spot right now. So Adam is down 18 positions. So great run for Adam. He's doing a great job. And let's see if he can recover into some sort of not podium position as, gets a freebie. Michelle Lynn, his good friend, pushes out through the second Lesmo. He cuts down in front of her just to show some insult to injury. But him and Michelle are going at it, and I'm sure they are just laughing away, racing each other, just having a good old time going around the track.
I feel like I need to come up with my own sound effect to do in reference to Adam's meowing. Oh no, you got a pen click or something like that. I don't know. But that was some close quarter stuff coming out of Lesmo number 2, as I think we may have a battle going on involving Josh Arnold and Chris Murakami in the 901 car. Let's see, riding on board with Arnold, getting the bump draft like crazy, heading down start-finish straightaway number 2, how we call it?
Yeah, I'm not sure which one we named them.
Oh, I think I got a new one. New start finish straightaway, and then we could call the one that we're actually using start finish straightaway classic.
Yeah, there you go.
That'll be the way that we do it for this broadcast. Let's
a little retro action, right?
Yeah, there we go. That'll be the best way to describe that. And the Coca-Cola representatives who may be watching this broadcast, give us some money here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. Daniel Wood in the number 28 car, trying to go for a 2-for-1 deal, heading off through the Lesmo section right now. Gets it done on Chris Murakami after getting the move done on the number 40 car a couple of moments before that. Well played, must be said, from Daniel Wood. It was just some rather slick moves on, it was the 40 car of Juan Garcia and the 901 of Chris Murakami. So this battle actually rather intense at the moment and rather clean as well. Outside that pileup we had heading through the high banks, it's been a clean race, and it's been a hectic one too, just based off the fact that the front 3 are going 3 wide.
Wow, that is crazy. We've got 5 minutes still left to go, and these guys are still going at it. Top 3's been separated by less than quarter of a second for about the last 3 or 4 laps. Felix leading them around right now in that red and white 31, coming around that inside line on the oval. Claudio Gardini right behind him. Joshua Justice on that high side, trying to get a little run down here. Claudio trying to pick his partner, trying to see what he can do, which one he's going to pick. He's going to pick Felix as they come down straightaway B. The retro, the new, I don't know which one's which anymore. As Joshua jumps back in, yeah, it's a straightaway. But top 3 really just nose to tail, and they've got a 28-second gap back to that next group. So great battle up front right now as Felix takes over the lead, and coming into what should be the Lesmo sections here, but this is the kind of what should be a chicane. As we see just a bunch of trees, but that's okay because it's beautiful trees here in Monza. But into the Lesmo section now, Felix leading him around in that first one. Joshua tucked back in that 3rd spot, just looking for a place to get by Claudio, or he could be just sitting back here and just waiting his time. As you see the guys closing in on some lap traffic. We'll have to see if that plays a part, and I'm wondering if I think that was Adam Thompson and Michelle just in front of them, so we'll have to see if that plays a part into this. But as we jump back into Jason Green sitting in that 11th spot, just really getting a bump draft on these guys coming down. Flavio tucked in right behind JG2, coming into what is the kind of a sweeper. And Ron, we're coming into that hidden chicane, so we're going to really try. This is where a lot of guys are making some time up because they're cutting that inside line there and just staying pinned through there into the Lesmos.
I will say, talking about cutting it close, heading down into what is called turn number 4 around this track, the usual chicane being skipped out. It's a dangerous game because if you hit that inside sausage curve in these Spec Racer Fords, it'll ping you off. These cars are barely stuck to the road when all 4 wheels are on the deck. You get 1 or 2 up off the ground, you're going to find yourself in a situation where your next impression will probably be of a Spec Racer Ford car that went through a cheese grater. I think it's the best way I could try and put it, because hit that curb, you're probably going to end up either in the outside barrier or the inside barrier. The barrier that's usually on the outside of the chicane there, as much as it is Armco, which is quite soft in real life, in this sim, it's basically a brick wall, which does not do you any favors. As side-by-side racing going on involving Dan Sadro and Stevie Ray. Sadro trying to make up another spot to turn those frowns upside down on that number 51 car.
You took it away from me, Ron. Stevie Ray getting under braking a little bit and goes off into the marbles there. Oh, man, gets collected together. And, man, Stevie just getting off into the gravel there, getting sideswiped, and Jeff Jacobson actually getting the better end of that deal, as Sadro's frown should be turning right back up. So after watching Stevie go off the track like that, now he's got a new partner right behind him of Jeff Jacobson coming as they come around the Parabolica turn right now, as we're closing in on what could be a white flag lap here shortly, depending on where our leaders were. We'll have to see where they are, and looks like they are halfway around the track. Is that correct? Yes. Yeah, come around halfway around the track right now. So, Ron, are they on their white flag? Are you able to tell that or not? I can't tell right now.
Yeah, I think this should be white flag based off the fact there's only about 45 seconds left on the clock, and they're heading their way down into the Lesmos for the last time. Felix Samoes looking to grab 3 wins of 3 races. That'll be the first time someone has done this in the history of the big grid runoffs, and I think in the history forever, as long as the Formula V's, Formula Fords, and Spec Racer Fords have been running on the same day, which only dates back a couple of seasons. So that would be a fantastic achievement for Samoas. We got a pack of 4 cars battling hard through the high banks. Chris Murakami involved in a hornet's nest with himself, Daniel Wood, Josh Arnold, and Juan Garcia. All of these cars beating, banging, and roughing each other up, heading down the new start-finish straightaway, as we like to refer to it as, but side-by-side racing going on all throughout this field, and let's see if this is going to end in tears, heading down into turn at number 3. Ooh, they nearly went 3 wide. That could have ended in tears, but at the front of the field, I think it's ended in tears for Samoas heading down into Parabolica. They got some traffic to worry about as well. This is going to be a big disruption. I wonder, though, is Felix Samoa is going to be enjoying the draft and enjoying a run to the line. Josh Justice leading them coming out of the final corner, but look at Samoa's in the 31 car. He's trying to find any way in the book to get past Justice, but it's not going to be enough. 8 hundredths of a second was the difference between Justice and Samoas at the line. That could have been the triple, but it was not enough for Felix Samoas. Josh Justice, your winner in this Spec Racer Ford race, a battle going on for the final spots inside the top 5, involving Andre Favini, Eric Luke, and Michael Odell. Odell and Luke standout stars in the Spec 2 category in the Weekend Warriors. Favini, a standout star as is. Let's see how it shakes out with all those drivers coming right to the line. Holy cow, that was close, about a 1/10 of a second between all those racers, but that finish at I can't even talk about the finish now. Oh, contact being made. Green and Reese roughing each other up big time, heading through Parabolica. That could have been deadly. It nearly was deadly. At the end of it, though, it's going to be a photo finish with Reese and Green. Antonio Reese going to finish at P8. But as you can see, Leonard Reese not getting the memo, trying to race back to that old start-finish line. The start-finish line was about 500 feet farther back, unfortunately. So that called me out earlier on too. Don't worry. So it's not the triple for Samoas. Oh wow. Okay, that was a photo finish. I will pass this back off to you in a couple of moments, Mike. Once these drivers finally decide to settle down. Justice, though, preventing that triple from Samoas just barely.
Yeah, no, that was a great finish up front. Those top 3 guys were running within a quarter of a second of each other for that whole last half of that race. That was a great finish as we watching Daniel Wood coming through with just battling it out with Josh Arnold coming across side by side, and they cross the line and just barely inching them by. So that was probably the old one, but you get the action, you get the idea. They were side by side coming down that final straightaway as the last group of guys are finishing up their timing, and this is where the guys go full send mode and try to see how many pieces they could fall off their car. Maybe we'll have to see what these guys have in store if we're able to get some carnage, as we got the last group of cars coming around on that inside straightaway to come across the line. But Ron, that was once we got through that early kerfuffle with these guys, it really turned out to be a pretty good action race after that.
Yeah, past the early carnage, it developed into a really good race. These cars, they can put on a good show practically anywhere. I mean, granted, if you put them on,
Yeah.
Goofy track. Oh yeah, I think, let's see, Michelle Lynn and Adam Thompson may have a battle right to the line. I wonder if Adam Thompson's going to break the bumper out, break the chrome, the plexiglass horn, I guess would be the best way to describe it here in these Spec Racer Fords. And here we go. There's gonna be a battle right to the line. Dun 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 dun. Look at Thompson getting that run. He's going to finish this race in P34 at the end of all of it. So well done to Thompson getting that move done right at the line. What was the point that I was going to be raising? These race cars can put on a good show practically everywhere, unless you put them on some really like goofy racetrack. Actually, I say that, I feel like even on like the Wild West dirt road course, they would still be able to put on a good show. So these Spec Racer Fords just produce some awesome racing. We saw that all throughout today.
No, all throughout today, there's all three classes that we ran today produced some just amazing finishes. These guys running together within, the top three, and all three races were less than a half second separating them. So what a great show these guys put on today. And, tough break for Felix not pulling the triple, but good on Joshua Justice to pull away and actually get that win here on the last race of today. So, Ron, that was no lack of action this entire day.
Yeah, it's just some great racing from start to finish. The Formula Vees were good. The Formula Fords were insane. And the Spec Racer Fords were pretty exciting as well. What a day of racing action here for the 44th Weekend Warriors Big Grid Runoffs. I think we're still waiting for these drivers to have the Crash 'em Up Wreck Fest. I'm kind of terrified as to what these drivers are actually going to do. There you can see him heading through the high banks. This absolutely gorgeous motorsports facility. I wonder if iRacing will maybe think about possibly refreshing the scan. Oh no, okay, here we go. Oh, perfect time to cut to a replay. Oh my god, that's Michelle Lynn going up in the air. Jason Green somehow avoided all of that. He had a jump on the inside, waxed the crap out of the tire barriers, and I'm petrified if he's going to get hit again. Survey says, we got some cars coming in. Flavio Andalaga coming for the kill. I think he will. God. Oh, he ballparked it. Our first ball parking of the day.
Yep. Wow, that's nothing but sheer carnage now. Yeah, that's what a great view of just pieces of Spec Racers everywhere.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so it's gone from just basically like a ballet dance performance briefly to a Nat Geo documentary. Watch now as a territorial Spec Racer Ford tries to scare the other Spec Racer Fords out of its territory using smoked donuts on the infield for some reason. Okay, here's Cathcart. Let's see. Someone gonna be coming in on him, or I'm not really sure what he's playing at here in the 905 car. Maybe going to. Okay, he's gonna be running back.
Coming.
Oh, whoa, okay, here we go. So it's basically a game of Spec Racer Ford chicken. I see where we're going at here. Okay. Oh no.
Edgar's car looking pretty good right now. That's pretty straight. That's probably one of the straightest ones.
Oh, he ballparked it too. There we go. The infield ball parking. That's the first time I've seen that in a while. Okay, I'm not even sure what's. I think we'll talk about the results. That may be a good idea. You can just see
good
the
idea.
front clip just bouncing on the back straightaway. What the hell? Okay, okay. Let's just get into the results before I see any more things that make me question the laws of physics on the iRacing platform. Finishing this race in first and grabbing the win is going to be Joshua Justice. Felix Amos came so close to getting the triple. I'm sure he's still going to be very happy at the end of all of this. Claudio Gradini going to rend at your podium in third. We have Andre Favini being classed in fourth at the end of this race. Eric Luke in fifth. Michael Odell finishes in P6, Edgar Sancinelli in 7th, Antonio Reese is classed in 8th, Jason Green in 9th, and Leonard Geese rounding out your top 10.
Finishing in the 11th spot, you've got Flavio Arnaldo in 11th, Maurizio Naselli in the 12th spot, Daniel Tufts 13th, 14th goes to Josh Arnold, Daniel Wood comes in home in 15th, Juan Garcia in 16th, Matthias Dolag in 17th, Chris Merkamami in 18th, Boris Essman in 19th, and rounding out that top 20, Dan Sadro.
And then looking through the drivers outside of the top 20, it starts with Jeff Jacobson in 21st. Brad Cathcart is classed at the end of all of this in 22nd. Finishing in 23rd is Trent Kramer. Finishing in 24th is Florian Utz. Stevie Wright is classed right behind him, P25 at the end of this race. Finishing right behind him is going to be the 26th finisher of Dan Witzak. We just pop that off a little bit. So I'll just go through this as quickly as we can. Dan Witzak, Ethan Orr, 26th and 27th. Session just closed. So welcome everybody to a very dark. We're currently undergoing a solar eclipse right now, so bear with us right now. So Matt Thompson is going to be finishing in 28th, Scott Russell in 29th, Paul Jackson in 30th, Jason Grider in 31st, 32nd is Tom Gradwell, Jason Perry in 33rd, Adam Thompson in 34th, Michelle Lynn in 35th. We have Adam Bradshaw in 36th, Phil Berry in 37th, Kurt Nunez in 38th, Kane Halliburton in 39th, Keith Dalton in 40th, Rasmus Viore in 41st, Kane Lasky in 42nd, Tortolo in 43rd. Mike Sargent is the last of the cars that are classified, and rounding out your results is the 45th place runner of myself, who did not take the start. I believe I have the lowest I rating of all the drivers in this session, so that's a nice little rib kicking there. 1,500. You can tell there's a very good reason why I'm behind a microphone instead of behind the wheel, which, considering I was talking backwards early on, is really saying nothing. But Mike, we got some drivers waiting out there in the interview waiting area, so I think I want to have a chat with someone up there in the interview waiting area.
Yeah, let's go ahead and pull in our winner, Joshua Justice. Bring Josh into the main booth. Joshua Justice. Josh, sorry to bring you in mid-conversation there, my friend, but man, what a chaotic race this was, and it looked like you guys had a lot of fun there up in the front.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sort of kind of was set up, man. Like, we were kind of fighting for position and fighting to not get locked off. And then after like lap 5 or so, it was clear that the three of us, none of us were going to get locked off. And so it just became kind of like figuring out where you wanted to be and when you wanted to make the move and which part of the track you wanted to make the move on. And kind of go out before that. If you watch, I'm coming out of that car going to Parabolka, and I'm laying off the throttle really early and still just carrying so much feet. And I'm like, this is where I'm going to make the move. I'm going to sit in third, and I'm going to go for the move between that car and Parabolka. And that's exactly what I did, put me in first. And Felix almost got me with that. It was really close, but it was just all about figuring out when and where on the track I wanted to make the move, because the draft, and especially the double draft or the side draft, is so strong in this car. You can make a pass pretty much anywhere from third place to first.
You could definitely see how strong the draft was on in front and on side of the cars. But man, that looked like a fun battle with you guys going at it for a good half of the race. All three of you going at it, and it definitely, you could see where you laid back just a bit just to kind of get that good run. So great job. And how was the rest of your racing today, Josh? Did you have a good run in the other classes as well, or is this just your best one?
No, I was doing good in the Formula Ford, but somebody tangled wheel with me, and that was the end of that race. I was running up front for a good 10 laps, maybe not 10 laps, like 6 or 7 laps on the oval, and then made contact with somebody on the front stretch and got into that. The Formula Vee race in the lane, I was having hardware issues. I've still got a new computer, still ironing out some of the kinks with the new computer and the hardware and all that. So I missed most of qualifying. I didn't get qualifying lap in. I started from the back. Got caught up in somebody's wreck that had lost control of the car and was like going airless down the back strip. So, both those races were a write-off, but I'm happy to get the win in Spec Racer Ford.
Yeah, no, that was a great race. Good running today, Joshua. And since you're up here in the production booth with us, do you want to give a shout out or thanks to anybody while you're up here?
Well, I'm going to be at NOAA this weekend for the Super Tour. So definitely a shout out to everybody involved. That's going to be broadcast on YouTube for the SCCA Super Tour this upcoming weekend. And that real world racing. And so I'm definitely looking forward to that. It looks like we're going to have good weather this year. So not a rainy mess like it was last year. Hopefully I end up with a blue car at the end of the weekend, not a brown car like I had last year.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to you in your real racing as well, Joshua. And it was a great run today, and we look forward to seeing you next season.
Yeah, thank you.
That was our winner, Joshua Justice, taking the win in the Spec Ford race. Ron, who do you got up next?
Well, I'm going to do the honors of interviewing Mr. Felix Samoa, as the driver came oh so close to getting the sweep here from the 44th V runoffs, but still put in a very valiant effort. Felix, welcome into the commentary booth. And now, before I ask you about the Spec Racer Ford race, I want to ask you about your experience in the Formula Vees and Formula Fords. First time I've seen you in those two cars, so what do you think of those two very different races?
So my experience with those cars is very, very little. I did some races with the Formula V's when it came out and didn't do any races afterwards. I just practiced a bit today. And the Formula V's, I just drive it occasionally, but I don't do races with them. I really enjoyed it. So the Formula V in the rain, and then at Maunz Club, I think that's the name of the track, was really fun. And then I was surprised I had such a good pace, and I was able to keep up with the front pack. And at some point, Trenton went wide on a puddle. He lost time, so he backed up all the others. And then I was pulling away, so I was surprised by that. But I was getting a bit bored. I mean, and this races are supposed to be fun, so I just waited for them. And the Formula V and the Formula Ford, the oval was fun because we were always side by side. I was side by side with Trenton most of the race, so you can think that it's boring to go for such a long time full throttle on that track, but when you're side by side and the car constantly pushing either inside or outside, depending on which part of the track you are, you really have to be focused the whole time. So it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. And then with the SRFs, the challenge was to bump drafting and just try to, that was from all the races, try to keep out of trouble. And I managed to do that.
It's essentially just a game of try not to die all throughout all three of the races, but you're able to do it first, second. It's a bit unfortunate that you weren't able to get the sweep, but still a very valiant effort for you in this race and in this event period. And I'm going to ask an incredibly loaded question for you, Felix. What was your favorite of the three races? What was the most fun for you?
They were all different. I enjoyed the Formula V's in the rain. Was a different challenge for me. I think it was one of the very few races I did in the rain in iRacing. And I mean, I think probably my favorite one was the Formula Ford at the Oval. In the end, the SRFs was a different challenge. At least we had to brake. But I really enjoyed the Formula Fords at the Oval, on the Oval.
Yeah, I gotta say, from my perspective in the commentary booth as well, that Formula Ford race was pure unbridled madness to commentate on. I'm pretty sure I can speak for myself and my colleague, Mr. Mike Braun, in this regard. We were like slack-jawed all throughout that race. There's no other way to describe it. And I will say, Felix, talking about the Formula V's, if you're a Saturday afternoon, I guess it'd be evening for you. If your Saturday evenings are open, I'm sure the Formula V Weekend Warriors drivers would be more than happy to see you out on track for that season. And definitely not biased there because I'm on those broadcasts with our producer, Mr. Joshua Wilkie. But cool to see you out here for the runoffs, and cool to see you out there on track all throughout this season, of course, winning the championship and the Spec Racer Fords in the process. So before we click over to season 2 of 2025, and as you look to try and defend your title, Felix, is there anyone you want to give a thanks or a shout out?
I mean, as usual, everybody involved, everyone that raced had made such a good time, awesome time that we spent here these 3 hours or so, and throughout the season we already did on at the end of the championship. I mean, thank everyone that organizes this and keeps this running. Also for you guys in the commentary, because it's also part of the whole thing, and then makes it fun to watch. And yeah, what can I say? Yeah. Basically, everyone involved in this community, in these races.
I want to thank you as well, Felix, for joining us in the commentary booth, and thank you for the kind words. Very funny you say that after a broadcast where I was talking in backwards and mentioning quotes from Ron Burgundy, but that's neither here nor there.
I will watch it afterwards. I haven't watched it yet, so
I can't tell whether I should say to prepare to laugh your ears off or prepare a bottle of some sort of like migraine relief medication. But Felix, thank you for joining us in the commentary booth. Congratulations on the championship for this past season, and nice to see you out on track.
Thank you, guys. Keep up the good work.
And fingers crossed he will do as well. That was Felix Samoa, a driver of the number 31 car, so close to the sweep, but yet so far away. And Mike, I'll let you take next dibs on who you want to have a chat with next.
I'll pull in Michael Odell into the main booth here. Michael, what a just chaotic start to this race, and you were able to gain up 10 spots to finish 6th overall here. Were you tied up in any of that chaos, or how did you get through that first lap kerfuffle?
This is gonna sound really, really crazy, but when people say if you just hold the brakes and sit on the high side and don't get rear-ended, you just might make it through.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I think we're just going on board with you right now, and I do have to say you have the best driver photo in SDK, so congrats on that. You definitely win the award today. But we're watching the replay right now of you, basically like you said, you went to the high line and you just kind of held on and just kept going, and everybody's just sheer chaos everywhere. Holy moly, cars are everywhere. This is probably the best replay we've got of this incident, so you'll have to definitely go back and look at this. But once you guys got through that, it looked like it was pretty clean sailing for you after that.
Yeah, it was really clean sailing. The only thing was that because of that incident, it put us at like 10 seconds down to the rest of the guys up front. It's like, okay, let's just hold on for dear life at that point. And then you saw the 3 cars catch up, and we just had our little rumble to the end there. But yeah, it was good. I'm surprised I didn't get rear-ended when I was slowing down for that big one. I was slowing down fully expecting one guy to do the Cole Trickle don't lift, and somehow it didn't happen. I'm like, oh hey, there we go.
No, that looked like it was a fun day in all 3 classes. But that wreck right there was definitely the pinnacle of the day. But once you got going, you got into 6th spot. You had a good battle with was it Andrea and Eric going at it there towards the end. Did you have any other close calls, or how did the rest of the race go for you once you got through that big old wreck?
Honestly, after the big wreck, it was a very just pretty much mundane. It was just turning laps, and just if I could hold on to spots. If people made mistakes or crashed up ahead, pick them off as I went. But it was pretty much just smooth. After that wreck, it was smooth sailing and just turn laps.
That was a good race from you today, Michael. Congrats on finishing home in the 6th spot. And while we got you up here in the booth, you want to give any shout out or thanks to anybody?
Well, thank you, Stevie, for putting on the race. Thank you to the cars behind me for not trying to merge us together. And hopefully for the full season starting up next week, I can make the races for that. And then I think Ron knows at least, but I still have to at Virginia. I forgot to do it at Road Atlanta. I do got to update the profile to Officer Doofy. I forgot to do it at Road Atlanta.
Just
so
for
I still owe him that. Yep.
All right. Well, congratulations, Michael, on a great run today, and we look forward to seeing you next season.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you. And Ron, your next interview, good sir.
I think I may end up. Oh God, I nearly just shuffled around everything in the slow motion broadcasting Discord server. You can tell I'm very talented with using a mouse. So I'm going to have a quick little chat with Antonio Reese, who we always like to have a chat with. Antonio, good morning, my friend. Welcome into the booth. Good morning. Actually, no, it's good night for you.
Good night. Good morning for you.
Good afternoon for me at this point, but actually I think it may be good morning for Mike and Josh out there on the West Coast. So I guess that works. But all different time zones everywhere. Yeah, exactly. So Antonio, welcome into the booth. And how was it out there? That looked like a really fun day of racing.
Yeah, it was really fun. I have 3 races in a row with a lot of adventures, I would say, like that. And I still have fun with the guys, enjoying the we have a fast repair, so we can go to the pits and get a new car and still keep going. So yeah, it was a really good fun. And yeah, despite the position, so I still finished 3rd overall in my class, the Masters class. I finished 3rd in both of the first races, and I think I finished 1st on the Spec. And so yeah, it was quite nice. 3 podiums. Well, it paid off the weekend.
Yeah, it worked out very, very well for you, Antonio. And keeping our fingers crossed that this pace that he showed here today is going to convert into season 2 of 2025 for the entirety of the Weekend Warriors. It's gonna be a good one. What are your thoughts heading into the new season?
I'm not very sure about that pace, but we will see. It's always a surprise. I'm always expecting the best, but I always getting, not the worst, but not very good as the last season. So we will see. Still, like, as you say, cross fingers. Yeah.
Keeping the fingers crossed for you and hoping that those falling anvils stop crashing on your head, man, because that happened way too much during the last season. But Antonio, keeping our fingers crossed that we'll see you a little bit farther up towards the front come time for this upcoming season. But before we let you go, is there anybody you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Yeah, to Steve Ray, our admin, and the father of the league, and as well for you guys for the broadcast. You're doing a great job. I always see the broadcast every time and share with the Facebook with friends and I think this time we have no sponsors, so but if you have some sponsors, I also appreciate their support and for the drivers, for the community, all the drivers involved, and for the the YouTube viewers or whatever, YouTube or Twitch, or I don't know how much slow motion platforms use. I use only the YouTube from slow motion, but if you have more for all the viewers for all the platforms, yeah.
I think SMB should probably be on some other platforms. So I think, Antonio, you may have just given us some ideas. But thank you for joining us in the commentary booth, man, and thank you for hitting the track.
You guys.
And hope to see you on track soon, man. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and see you next time. Yeah.
See you as well. That right there was Antonio Reese, the Masters man in the 914 car. Now, one more man up there in the interview waiting area, and this is the big man himself, Mr. Stevie Ray, now with us in the commentary booth. Thank you, Stevie. Welcome into the booth, and I'll pass the floor off to you, man. What a way to bring season 1 of 2025 to a conclusion.
How was that, guys? What'd you think?
Oh, it was fun.
Well, first off, how drunk were you when you picked the tracks?
Yeah, how about that, huh?
Especially with the Formula Fords.
Yeah. I thought, well, we'll do something totally different and just do some oval racing. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I gotta say though,
I have to ask you: did you see the big one coming into the last race here in the SRFs? Did you see the big wreck that came into turn 1?
Oh yeah, I was in the middle of it. I came up into it and I went high and a bunch of cars come up and yeah, I was one of the ones sitting in the pits with 20 guys coming back out or something.
Well, it was no dig on your qualifying start position. I'm just saying, but yeah, that was pretty crazy start. But man, all 3 races were epic at the front, and just kudos. That was some great racing today.
Yeah, the guys always provide it. I figured the short oval, the junior, and throw in some rain with the V's, and that should have been some epic racing. And the Formula Fords, you knew that was going to be a draft fest on the oval and a little different style of racing. And then what can you say? You know the SRFs are draft monsters, and we just throw in the biggest track there at Maunz and take the chicanes out and go have at it. And I'm anxious to watch the broadcast back and see all the action. We got some business to take care of, though.
Yeah, definitely we do.
Tam is in the chat, and if you guys have been around, you know she's our honorary weekend warrior. She doesn't get out on the track with us, but she's always in the track supporting us, or in the chat, not track. Always there supporting us. Watches the podcast on Tuesday night. So it's Jim Brewster's sister, and we made her an honorary weekend warrior a while back. And I had this idea last week 13. We had the $15 per race for the paint, and it's like, okay, we're going to do a random this time. And how do I do that? And so I asked Jim to ask Tam if she would help me do that, and she agreed to. So hopefully she's still in the chat there, and I'm going to ask her to say hi, make sure she's there. So you there, Tam? Yeah, there we go. So, all right, Tam. Yeah, I got it. She's there. So I need 3 numbers from you. And the first one, let's see, I'm going to give you a range of 1 to 31, Tam, for the first one. And give me a 1 to 37, somewhere in there for the second number. All right, first is 6. Second number, 1 to 37. And still waiting. There it is. 38 or 33. I'm sorry. So you guys writing this down, right? Yep. And now, Tam, I need a number between, let's say, 1 and 41. So a couple of seconds for that to pop up. 1 to 41. And da-da-da-da-da. Where's Ron singing?
Yeah. I'll break out the harmonica.
There it is. Okay, the third's number 8. They wanted a consolation figure 8 track. Okay, so now if you guys would look at your results, and the first number was 6. So whoever finished 6th in the Formula Vee race is the winner of that one. And I think it was the guy behind me.
James Sheldon.
Okay, there we go. James Sheldon for the V's. And who finished 33rd in the Formula Fords?
That's a very good question that you raised there, Mr. Stevie Ray. Let me get that up right now. I'll do my own singing.
Joshua Justice.
Josh Justice in the second race. And then who finished 8th in the SRFs?
We're finishing 8th in Spec Racer Ford.
Antonio Reese. Awesome. So we got James Sheldon, Josh Justice, and Antonio Reese. So thanks, Tam. You made my day. Appreciate you helping me with those random numbers. I was trying to keep that unbiased numbers for each race, so I didn't tell her why she was going to be doing it, but that's what it was. Thanks, Tam.
I will. Yeah, we thank Tam for that, providing the random numbers for this bit of the broadcast. I'm also looking through. It was 33rd, correct, for the
33rd.
33rd for the Formula Fords. I'm looking through. I believe it may have actually been Jesus Rodriguez because I think Josh Justice finished 3rd.
Oh, okay.
In that race. So I'm looking through right now. Actually, I think it may have been a battle of the last place finisher. I'm looking through it. It may have been. I'm having to go through the broadcast right now.
Yes,
I lost my graphics throughout half the show, so I'm like, looking through right now, trying to figure out who it
We
is.
can pull up the results too, and whoever got 33rd in the Formula Fords is the winner. So.
Actually, it was Josh Justice. I'm noticing right now. So I guess Josh got struck by a falling anvil towards the end. I thought he finished 3rd in that race.
Yeah.
I don't know why it randomly popped into my head. He actually finished in 33rd. So it is Josh Justice. That was a false flag for me.
See, you have a great helper there, and you doubted him.
Yeah.
What can I?
I apologize, Mike. That's mainly me not knowing math.
Yeah. Well.
Stevie, just don't go back to watch the beginning of this race because things might be a little backwards. We'll just call it that.
Okay. Now, we'll have to. Yeah. What a great way to finish up a great season, huh? I mean, these guys, you never fails. Whatever I do, give them, they're going to provide great racing. I mean, it's a great community, lot of fun. And this one being all for fun, I know there was some extra give and take and some extra pushing and shoving. And it was, I said, I'm anxious to go watch the broadcast. But how about those guys on track every week?
Yeah, it was nice to see a lot of newcomers to these Week 13 runoffs as well. I think you provided a graph for us earlier on, Stevie, that about 33% of the drivers we saw out there on the racetrack were brand new. You obviously had some drivers who we've seen in the Weekend Warriors all the time, and some others that we have seen in the past just a little bit sporadically in the case of Kane Halliburton. Really nice to see some new drivers out there, and all 3 of us on this broadcast were out there on the track as well. Josh was on for the Formula V's, Mike was on for the Formula Fords, and I was out there for the Spec Racer Fords.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that'll be cool to see. In-race commentator, huh?
More so picking the wrong buns and deciding that birds of a feather should stick together. So that, either way, though, really nice to see consistent cast of characters, those drivers we see on track every single weekend, and some of the newcomers as well who aren't even a part of the Weekend Warrior series making their appearance. Yeah, it was great to see some new blood come in, some crossovers from other leagues, and I know some of our guys broadcasted out to their people. So, yeah, it was great. Always welcome. Somebody come in and join in. That said, there's no league requirement for this one. Just jump in and have some fun. So I will jump out with that, but appreciate you guys for doing what you do, making us look good. Get ready for a new season next week. Right off the bat, it's going to be a great one. We're always looking for sponsors for the league. So if you're interested in that, we got a new one coming up for the first month of the SRFs, as a matter of fact, that I'll get out this week. Got a lot to do to get the leagues sorted out and ready for the week. We're going to make a few little minor changes on how we do some classification, and that'll be out this week as well. So there may be a few people bouncing between S1 and S2, and we'll get that all sorted out this week. So again, thanks to you guys. Thanks to the Weekend Warriors. Thanks to our new guys for jumping on track. It was a ball. And thank you as well, Stevie, for everything you do behind the scenes and basically just making my career as a broadcaster as well. So thank you, Stevie. Always appreciate the hard work and really looking forward to season 2 of 2025. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. Thanks for joining us, man.
All right, guys, take care.
You as well. That was Mr. Stevie Ray himself. And, what a way to cap off season 1 of 2025, a story of some close finishes, some photo finishes, some great racing all around in all 3 of the Weekend Warriors. And I think, Mike, that day of racing action just about summed it up. Great racing all around.
No, absolutely. It was some great racing top to bottom. All 3 classes were divided by, less than a half a second at the end. Just, a couple carnage wrecks in each one of them just to kind of highlight, to make it a little entertaining. But the racing action definitely stood out, and it showed what these guys in the Weekend Warriors are able to do, and look forward to seeing what next season has in store for these guys.
Really looking forward to the action from the Weekend Warriors for Season 2 of 2025. That's coming up this upcoming weekend. The Formula Vees you'll be able to catch on Saturdays, and the Spec Racer Fords and Formula Fords you'll be able to see on Sundays. And speaking of, let's get those graphics loaded up right now to show you when and where you can catch the action here on SMB. And any given week, it starts off with the American Muscle Series, Tuesdays at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can see some old muscle cars running around some of the best tracks on the iRacing platform. And then come time for the day after that, we got the action from Wildcard Wednesdays with the Ray Esports Club Racing League on at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the Sim Racers Group F4 Championship that Mike is going to be working on the cameras for this upcoming season. Then come time for the weekend, we have got you covered in terms of the racing action. On Saturdays, you can see the action from the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors at 2:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then come time for Super Sundays here on SMB. We got the Formula Fords at 12:45 and the Spec Racer Fords at 2:45. And that doesn't even do it for the Sundays. It doesn't even do it for today as well. That come up later on this evening. We've got the action from Cross Series League Racing. The XSLR wraps up their time on the dirt ovals with the 410 sprint cars tonight, I should say. They're running at Eldora at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, exclusively here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. But for all of us here at SMB, from everyone in the Weekend Warriors, from everyone on track here today, and from myself, Ron Maunz, Mike Braun joining me in the commentary booth, and Josh Wilkie doing an excellent job working on the cameras in the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for watching Season 1 of 2025 for the Ray Esports Weekend Warriors, and we hope to see you all for Season 2 in the not-too-distant future.